didn't realize you had it open. Sorry.
It's all right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of Breakfast with Boom. I'm your host, MrBooMStickXL. And if you were around for yesterday's horrendous show that I put on for the Xbox Factor podcast, I was having a ton of issues. And I'm not even sure if it was me. I think it was YouTube. I have changed settings. I actually spent about 2 hours changing settings to make sure that today's show runs with no problems. But I have an incredible panel. I mean, it's probably the biggest panel I've ever put together. Some people are going to be here for the whole show, and some people may have to skedaddle midway through, but everyone here is going to get a BoomStick introduction. Of course, I want to start with one of the newest members to the Breakfast with Boom family. He is an all-star gamer. He runs an amazing YouTube channel that just crossed 5,000 subs, and it's a big, big deal. Please welcome BitCloud Gaming.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to the show. Hope you guys enjoy.
Yes, well, listen, it's going to be a great show. Lots of stuff to talk about. A lot of drama. A lot of fires had to be cooled. Thankfully, there are some professionals still in the gaming space that can put out these fires like good firefighters. But let's move on to the next guest that we have on the panel. You know him as P Standing. He is the host of the outstanding Basement Radio Arcade podcast. He is a personality on these YouTube streets. He is an amazing community member. Please welcome Enrique.
Hey, what's going on, Boom? I'm happy to be back on Breakfast with Boom. It's been a little while, man, but just happy to be here. Got a great panel of guests and looking forward to talking some video games.
Oh, yeah. Well, we're going to have a lot to talk about. First of all, I have to give a big shout out to Masshole1977. He said even though they had problems yesterday, it was still a good show. I appreciate the confidence and the compliment because, trust me, I was deflated halfway through. I'm not sure if you heard it in my voice. But next up, we have a gamer who literally can drive circles around you. He is a Forza pro through and through. He's a huge Xbox fan and a fantastic community member. Please welcome Hyena Den.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's good to be here again on Breakfast with Boom. I'm trying to slowly wake up, slowly but surely, but we'll get through the day.
Well, listen, it's great to have you back on. I know it's super, super early on the West Coast, and I definitely appreciate you being here. And speaking of West Coast, we have a gamer who not only dabbles in the art and fun of gaming, he is also someone who makes the content. He is currently knee-deep in a project that he cannot talk about. You've heard him on this show before. As a matter of fact, he was one of the first guests to open up Breakfast with Boom. Please welcome back the Don.
Yeah, I'm always working on something I'm not allowed to talk about, but I love talking about games, so it's good to be here. So,
well, listen, thanks for being here. Do definitely appreciate it very much. And next, we have a Seattle Seahawks fan who hopes that his team will be in the playoffs this year. He's also one of the finest Nintendo fans that I know, but he also has an affinity for the Xbox console. He does make music from scratch when he on another channel that he has. Please welcome Nintendo Direct.
Hey, morning, y'all. Hopefully I don't sound too messed up because I kind of got some congestion going on. But appreciate you having me on, man. This is gonna be a
Well, it should be great. Listen, you sound great, and you're going to be just as great as usual. Love what you have to say about gaming. And last, and in absolutely no way least, I've worked with him for numerous months before closing the show down. You know him as one of the saltiest gamers on YouTube, but also someone on these Twitter streets that occasionally gets people's panties in a bunch. Please welcome Saltiest Gaming.
Good morning. Hey, what's up, everybody? My daughters and my wife are on a trip, so I could make it this morning. Hey. I'm happy to be here, man.
Well, listen, it is absolutely fantastic to have you, and of course, it's fantastic to have everybody on here. This is, in fact, one of the biggest panels I think I've ever had or had in a very long time, because, we try to, keep it somewhat decently sized so everyone gets their voice in. We have to open up the show with The Last of Us Part 2 for a couple of reasons. First of all, it's a game that is going to be, without anyone playing anything already talked about, of Game of the Year 2020. Now, of course, we know that Halo Infinite's still coming out. We know that, of course, Cyberpunk 2077 is coming out. And there are a few other titles that we don't know about that may also immediately be shoved into this Game of the Year talk. But recently, Neil Druckmann, who of course is the director at the infamous Naughty Dog, had a lot to say about it, and I wanted to kind of talk about it because there's some ups and downs to this particular topic, and we're going to start with the ups because, of course, I like being a positive kind of a dude. Now, The Last of Us 2 finally has a release date, and I think everyone knows this already, but I'm going to say it anyway, 2/21/20, and honestly, I cannot wait to play this game. It's something that I'm very much looking forward to, and I think anyone who's a gamer should be looking forward to this game because, from what we understand, not only is the game going to be on 2 discs, in this era of gaming, it's madness, right? That's complete madness that a game would be on 2 discs in the era of these particular consoles because they hold each disc holds so much memory. But we know that there's the campaign, the single player campaign, is going to be 30 to 40 hours in length. OMG is all I have to say. Now, following the reveal of this latest trailer, Neil Druckmann took to the PlayStation blog to share some information about the title. And Druckmann said that the work on the game began over 5 years ago at this point, and that the team at Naughty Dog feels great pressure to live up to the expectations they have carried over after the success of The Last of Us 1. Druckmann went on to also explain that The Last of Us 2's scope and ambition quickly grew in the early days of the project. And here's what he actually had to say. What we realized pretty early on is that we were putting together Naughty Dog's most ambitious and longest game in our 35-year history. Now, I want people to just take a step back for a second and understand what this extremely talented creative director is saying. The company has been around for 35 years, and this is the biggest undertaking the company has ever done in its entirety. Now, Salty, I want to go to you first because we're going to... This topic is probably going to be a little bit long, but I don't mind talking about it. So we're going to talk about what we just discussed, and then I'm going to read a quote regarding the multiplayer that apparently has caught fire. But Salty, when you hear the director of Naughty Dog, which Naughty Dog is by all rights one of the best development houses in gaming, when you hear him say that, what does that tell you as a gamer?
It just tells me that they're doing whatever it takes to push the industry forward when it comes to story, I guess, because they're one of the best developers out there, and they're trying to maintain that. And the fact that they're going to have the longest campaign, and I know we're going to get into the other stuff, the 30-plus hour romp in there. It's behemoth. The stuff that they've talked about, it's just what I've seen in the trailer, you can tell the polish is there, you know? When you saw Red Dead 2 trailer, and they're doing fight scenes, and you're seeing the level of detail, it's on another level. Okay? So it's like you have these S tier developers in the industry, and they're definitely there. Naughty Dog's there, Rockstar's there. You have these developers that just push the industry forward. It's like you look at basketball, you look at the S tier, right? You can put, Michael Jordan was in there and stuff like that because they're the pinnacle, the apex. It's what other developers try to be or try to, push themselves up to be. And you can see that. I haven't played the game, but I can clearly see the polish that they put on there. And then, with the statement that they put out about the multiplayer, they had to make some tough decisions when it came to, what they're going to actually put out there, and they're not going to just put unfinished product out there, or product they don't believe in. And it's taken over 5 years to make this game. They're not just pushing it out, and yeah, I think it's going to be amazing. I don't care if there's multiplayer or not, because I didn't play the first multiplayer.
Right, I'm right there with you.
And just look at the detail of the facial animations when Joel gets on the screen. That's big to me because I just finished Horizon Zero Dawn.
One of my favorites this gen, dude. I've been championing that game for years.
That game's amazing, right? But one of the things that stands out to me is like the facial animations. They're kind of wonky.
Yeah, they're very tough. Yes.
Yeah, in this game, you see it. It's just like God of War is another example. It's when the human eye looks at it. I'm seeing almost like my eye doesn't tell me this is a video game. It's almost like, hey, this is I'm looking at a real person here, which is crazy, So it's gonna be good.
Yeah, it's a lot to be excited about as a gamer, and I really, if you notice my terminology, it's folks, like I said in the beginning, and I've said on many shows, everyone is welcome at this show, all shows that I do, because I celebrate gamers. Now, it's okay to have a favorite. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just like sports, right? But it's how you handle and conduct yourself as a human being, whether or not you're going to be put in the pain of mind list or be brought into my home. So just, like I said, come here, hang out, have fun, enjoy what we're going to talk about. And like I said, all gamers are welcome. But when we talk about developers, Don, I have to go to you immediately, because what I love about your opinion on this industry is you wear two hats. You have an eye for gaming as a fan, but you also have something that a lot of us on this panel and a lot of people in the chat don't get a chance to see, and you have a developer eye. And when you hear someone like Neil Druckmann, who is a storied, content creator of the highest level, and you hear that a game that's been in development for 5 years, it's their biggest game in 35-year history of the company, what exactly does that tell you, and what could the fans expect in regards to quality?
Yeah, it's weird, right? Almost every studio always tries to outdo their predecessor. I think that's kind of the goal of every studio, regardless of budget. So, really, the restriction is the budget. You can tell Sony didn't hold back. This is kind of their swan song of the PlayStation generation.
Yep.
As you can tell, and it was the swan song of their previous generation before, right? And I'm definitely going to try it. I'm definitely. Man, I've never fallen in love with a Naughty Dog game. I'm going to be honest with you.
Okay.
And that goes with Crash Bandicoot all the way from the beginning to their end. None of the games have ever grabbed me. But as somebody that obviously studies every single facet, you got to try it. I have to try it from my perspective, because obviously they're well respected amongst gamers, right? And you have to acknowledge that, and you have to say, okay, what makes their game special? What's making this game resonate with their players? And so, yeah, I'm going to try it out. To be honest with you, and that's just a general policy against with anything. If it's a game I'm not excited, if there's behind the game, I'm always going to try it out, because you never know. Some of those games may catch me off by surprise. I would say Forza Horizon 3 is one of those games.
Yes.
And for it. Then I played it, and now I'm a Forza Horizon fan. So hopefully this does the same thing. Definitely they've done a really good job, and they have a lot of polish. I don't know about the multiplayer sort of stuff. Then again, I was never invested in the first one, so I'm not invested in like a disappointment one way or another. I look at those situations of, there's lessons to be learned there about stuff too soon.
Yes.
Things end up on the cutting room table of every developer, small or big. Always excited about the project you're working on. I mean, every developer thinks they're making the best game possible, right? Like, regardless of how the public looks at it. So, what you don't know is going to be on the cutting table. in regards to that, and don't talk about games too soon, because then you run yourself into these situations. Most of these negative situations in the game industry is people talking about things way too soon.
Okay, that makes sense. I mean, well, listen, this is coming from someone that has worked with some of the big time developers, who's a developer himself, and that's actually great advice for anyone considering making a game, possibly even if it's an indie. Sometimes it's better not to talk about it until there's something to talk about. That's a great point.
They're new to the industry, right? And they are talented, so it shows like even the best talent out there is fallible on the simplest, right? And so we'll see where all that goes, and we'll see if the consumer base is disappointed or not. But anytime I've had people talk about Last of Us and they talk about it's almost you forget about the multiplayer even existed in the previous one. To be honest with you.
Well, like I said, we're gonna get into that because I have a lot to say about that as well. BitCloud Gaming. I want to go to you next on this because obviously you have a sizable YouTube channel, and I don't recall if you got a chance to talk about the size of this game. But when you say a game, a single player game in 2019 is going to be between 30 and 40 hours, it excites me because some people will suggest that I'm a selfish gamer, right? Because I want to sit there and enjoy the story for myself. I just want to put on a pair of good gaming headphones and just sit in the dark playing this game and just being invested in the character interaction and the story. And when you tell me that game is being done by Naughty Dog and Neil Druckmann has his hands, as he has done on all of the games involved in this, it excites me to my personal core because I'm one of these gamers that publicly say a lot of good things about Sony when it comes to their single-player, story-driven, adult-themed content, because that's what I enjoy, as not only as a moviegoer but as a gamer. What are your thoughts on all of the information regarding the size and scope of Naughty Dog's next big AAA title?
Well, I mean, ever since the first one, right? Ever since we got to the ending of the first one, a lot of us just really wanted more. The fact that they're going to deliver on that front and they're really pushing the boundaries here. I mean, they're like touching on some crazy themes.
Yes.
And the next one from what we saw in that trailer. So obviously, Ellie has been through quite a bit, and I'm glad that that's definitely a focus point. The last thing you want is for them to miss like a certain detail, right? That you definitely wanted more context to. So the fact that we're going to get that type of level of detail to this, potentially more characters. Obviously, we saw the new clickers. The new clickers look insane with the new bloaters. I'm like, it looks absolutely insane. So obviously the game, clearly they built this game based on our feedback. And that's something that I absolutely love. I love to see that where, damn well every word that you stated towards the game, just, it went to the right, it basically hit home, basically, you know what I'm saying? And to see that type of level of just detail, not just in the character animations, but in the combat, when she was like cutting the chick with the machete, you see the slashes on her face start showing up. Like, that is next level what Naughty Dog is doing. So the fact that this is going to be 40 hours, and the fact that it's kind of reminding me of Red Dead 2 a little bit with the horses. I'm not sure.
Well, especially in the snow scene, right? When I got that Red Dead feeling. I sure did.
Immediately. It's like when the seasons change, the horse is always close to you. So I was wondering, is it going to be kind of like that? A lot of people are saying it's an open world. I don't think it's open world. It might give the illusion of open world, right? Like, like they kind of did with
God of War.
Clever design.
Yeah, God of War.
Yeah, exactly. They might give you the illusion of an open world. But that should tell you something, though. Sony's definitely looking to expand, and make the world even bigger. So that kind of makes you wonder what kind of dangers are you going to run into aside from just, going through the different seasons. Obviously, clickers are in whatever season. We saw that with the first one. Remember, they was in the snowing levels and whatnot. So it's going to be, interesting to see how that works. But 40 hours is more than enough for me. I think that's more than enough for the $60 price tag easily. That is a steal. A lot of games nowadays hardly are not even worth that, and they give you some games do give you good story length, but the story's just not worth it. They're not interesting, It's not a lot of interesting.
Right.
Some are just full of backtracking. This right here is just full of just it's more pieces to the puzzle, so to speak. And I'm telling you, this is still my game of the year. I mean, obviously, you know, the information that was leaked yesterday or that was revealed yesterday from from Naughty Dog's Neil Druckmann. You know, he confirmed it up. Also today, what's going on with the game? So
yeah, I actually have the direct quote from Neil Druckmann that we're going to get into as soon as we're done with this, because
I don't want to change the topic yet, but
it's important that people understand, because when the director, the creative director, and someone of Neil Druckmann's caliber and status quo gets out in front of something, you know that obviously it's being held, it's been taken to heart that people again, I don't want to get too much into it because I have a lot to say.
Well, it's a new topic, but just to finish the point off, I mean, I think what they're doing, they're definitely answering everybody's points on the game.
Yes.
Remember how we didn't want necessarily them to focus heavily on the multiplayer first. We wanted the single player to be fixed. You know, we want that single player to be great. Because remember, that's what made the first one really, really good. You had a great storytelling that talked about, you know, a bond being made between two random people in this post-apocalyptic world. Now you're going to see kind of the outcry from that based on war, you know, like what's happening in the real. Now the reality is set in, you know, now that pretty much, what's the name? Ironically, she had her last laugh. You know, Marlene, the Firefly, she basically had the last laugh. She's like, you know, what are you going to do when this happens? And then, you know, obviously it happened. And now Joel has to face with those consequences. So that's really, really good to see. But, yeah, I can't wait, man. This is my game of the year.
Nothing wrong with that. First of all, I have to thank a new channel member in Sleepy Goblin 2D. Thanks so much for becoming a channel supporter. I'm so excited that I have lost for words. So thank you so much for that. But Hyena Den, I want to go to you next on this, because here's the thing. This game, you know, if you look back to The Last of Us 1, as a gamer, for me personally, I bought the collector's edition of 3 when it was on the PlayStation 3. As a matter of fact, the statue of Joel and Ellie is sitting right above where I'm doing the show. And I didn't put as much time into it because I just really disliked the shooting mechanics in 1. But when the HD remaster came out for the PlayStation 4, I had to play it because I've heard so many great stories. Now, I beat it a total of 4 times. That's how many times I played it. It was just such an enthralling story of, like what Big Cloud was saying, with two strangers becoming basically a father and a daughter pair. And again, I'm not gonna. Some people didn't play, so I won't spoil it. If you look back to what happened at the opening of The Last of Us 1, it was a gut punch from the start. And to see this relationship blossom throughout the entire game was just, like I said, talking about it's giving me goosebumps. That's how important this game is for me personally. And what we've seen so far with The Last of Us 2, my God, it is a love letter to gamers. It's a love letter to Sony fans. It's a love letter to Naughty Dog fans. What have been your feelings in the last couple of days of everything that has been revealed?
Well, I can actually go back quite a bit further when I want to say this is probably around 2014, 2015. So a few years after Remaster came out for the PS4. A lot of people don't know that out of technicality, I haven't actually played The Last of Us Part 1 myself for 2 reasons. There's a rule that I go by with certain video games in this industry, especially if I don't have thing. If I don't have the money to buy something that I want to experience, it's one way or another, whether that means through or straight up just watching somebody else play the game on streaming it, YouTube, what have you. Now, some people don't like that philosophy because they say you won't ever truly experience, playing it for yourself. And to some degree, that is true. But I think it is close to heaven without actually going to heaven, right? And in this case, I back then I was really into watching Markiplier on YouTube. Absolutely, ginormous YouTuber now, right? Dude has like 20 million subs. The entire story of The Last of Us, and I was there from start to finish. And at the beginning of the game, I felt that gut punch that everybody else felt. At the end of the game, I felt that gut punch that everybody else felt. I was there through the entire thing, and it was still a moving experience. Now, obviously, after finishing that entire playthrough with Markiplier and family, it relieved any sort of need to actually go out and buy the game then. Because I already experienced everything I needed to get from it, and there's nothing wrong with that. If anybody wants to, I did the exact same thing with Detroit Become Human. Games are better watched or watched with friends than they are, and those two games for me personally were, exactly that. Now, this game might be a different scenario. Again, obviously, when financials come in the way of video games, it's kind of hard to pick and choose what you want to enjoy.
Absolutely.
The Last of Us is coming closely to Cyberpunk's release date, and Cyberpunk is something 100% I have no quarrels with paying the full $60 for, because that's definitely a genre I absolutely love. But I've watched State of Play and the campaign trailer that they had with The Last of Us Part 2. Some of it is kind of, it seems like it could be misleading with some of the stuff they showed in the trailer with Joel in there and and I forget her name.
Ellie.
I think her name's Dina.
Oh, okay, yes.
There's some things in there that seem like it could 100% be like oh, you think this is gonna happen, and you play the game, and oh no, that's not exactly what happened at all. So I think they're trying to play with the curveballs with this game. Do I think it's a contender for Game of the Year? Absolutely. Do I think it won? Probably. There's a lot of really neat things in this game, from sub detail to detail with how like the entire scope of the game is really breathtaking. If you look at like the skyscrapers and stuff in the background, Naughty Dog are very talented developers, even though I like Dawn, I haven't really gotten into any of their games besides Crash Bandicoot. They, when developers out there make something, people stop and take notes, and I think that's only a good thing in this industry, because you have the Activisions of the world and the EAs of the world that kind of need to be taken down a few pegs, and
I agree.
Try and do something that's good for the medium that is art of video games. But I was very impressed with what I saw. It has remained to be seen if I'm going to buy the game or not. We're going to see if I have an extra $60 lying around after Cyberpunk. So definitely impressed with what they showed.
Well, great points, really great points, and of course, money is always at the forefront. I mean, even myself, there was a few games that I unfortunately had to miss because life gets in the way, and responsibilities come first. And you know what? Because I didn't jump on something like Borderlands 3 or even Control, and I didn't get a chance to still get those games. I'm not worried about it because I'm playing right as people were coming in. I cannot stop playing Zelda's Link's Awakening. It's my God, it's just so much fun, and I missed the '93 Game Boy version, so this is new to me. And there's tons of stuff to play, so I'll wind up getting it at the end of the year on a sale. But closing out the first half of this topic, Studio or Nintendo Direct, besides being an amazing content creator, besides being an outstanding music mixer, when you see someone with the talent of Neil Druckmann get out there and say that they put their heart and soul into this game, and they wanted, they felt the pressure of outdoing themselves from the first one, and what you've seen they've been able to accomplish through 5 years of development. What are your takes on it, dude?
My takes on it when I saw the trailer, because I didn't get to watch it during the state of play, but watching it and seeing it, like, I honestly, I'm not easily blown away by visuals of a game. Like if I see something, I'm like, okay, that's cool. But this one, when I saw it, it looks amazing. Like the amount of work that they've put, you can tell the amount of work they put into it, the amount of detail they've put into this game. And you can tell that it's a labor of love. You can tell, like everybody has said, that they want to give something to their consumers, to Naughty Dog fans, Sony fans, gaming fans. They want to give them something special. You can just tell by looking at the trailer, like you can tell that from just watching that. And I can really, really appreciate that. I'm with Hyena on this one. I never played The Last of Us 2 because back in the day I only had an Xbox. I didn't have a PlayStation. Couldn't afford a PlayStation and to get the game, so I watched my buddy play the game. That was the way that I experienced the game, was I go to his house and watch him play it. And so I'm with him on that. So I know the story. I know the investment that fans of this game have, and it feels like they just took that and they tried to, put fire under it and multiply it by 4, 5, 10 times to make a even bigger experience. So I can really, really appreciate that. And I may go back and try to play the first one. I know that they said something about it would be available for free later down the road.
Yeah, it's on PS Plus. Actually, Salty did a video on that. Mm-hmm.
So I may try to experience it, but once again, like Hyena, I've already watched somebody play it, so I don't know if I really want to go back and actually try to go through it. But as a fan of art, I can appreciate the amount of time they put into this game.
Well, I mean, listen, again, and this is coming from one creator speaking about another, and that even though we are small, we're small in the totem pole, it doesn't mean that our opinions are not as valid as someone as as up there in status as Neil Druckmann. But I want to talk about the second part of today's topic, because to me it's slightly annoying. Obviously, it was brought to the forefront that the multiplayer that a lot of people really dig, like that is a big time multiplayer for a lot of folks, is not going to be there at launch. And people, now again, we have to understand where this is coming from. Some folks who generally enjoy the multiplayer were disappointed. I understand that. That makes perfect sense to me. But when you see some of the quotes on social media, this is where the ugly side of the Xbox community comes out, and I'm not picking on anybody. I'm just saying, as it's an umbrella statement. It's the same way I would say about the toxic Sony community when something comes out for Microsoft and it's not it's not a positive story. It's it has a little bit of a tail to it. They jump on, they pile on the rabbit. If you're a Bugs Bunny fan, you know what I'm talking about. I'm old, so people don't even know. Some people in the chat probably know what Bugs Bunny is. But anyway, getting back to my point, the Naughty Dog was so taken aback by the comments from everyone, not just one particular group. Everyone was very vocal about this. They released a statement, and I want to read that statement live on the air. It says, "We wanted to address multiplayer in The Last of Us Part 2. As we've stated, the single-player campaign is far and away the most ambitious project Naughty Dog has ever undertaken. Likewise, as development began on the evolution of our factions mode from The Last of Us Part 1, the vision of the team grew beyond an additional mode that could be included with our enormous single-player campaign. Wanting to support both visions, we made the difficult choice that The Last of Us Part 2 would not include an online mode. However, you will eventually experience the fruits of our team's online ambition, but not as part of Last of Us Part 2. When and where it will be realized is still to be determined, but rest assured, We are as big a fan of factions as the rest of our community, and we are excited to share more when it's ready. Now, that's not from Neil Druckmann. It just says Naughty Dog. Salty, I want to go to you on this right away because you talked about it last night on your show. When you hear a statement like that, it appears, to me anyway, based on what I've read, what I've been reading, that this multiplayer mode is going to be rather large, as big, possibly bigger than the single-player campaign, and I think it's a testament to the quality control that comes out of Naughty Dog. Every game that they have released has been quality out the door, and if they felt that they could not hit the high notes that that their fans expect, this is a good decision. What are your thoughts on their explanation as to why The Last of Us Part 2 did not include the multiplayer?
All right, so obviously I'm going to keep it real. Sometimes, hold on. Am I muted? Nope.
No,
all right, good.
No, you're good.
All right, so sometimes, all right, I got to read in between the lines because a lot of people are just going to read through this and see the things that they say. Okay, yeah, they're growing, blah blah blah. But if you read this, it says, "However, you'll eventually experience the fruits of our team's online ambition, but not as a part of The Last of Us Part 2." That's important, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people are saying, "Well, this is going to be like Red Dead 2. This is going to be like this and that," because Red Dead 2 launched the game, and then they had the online multiplayer later. But it's a part of the game. You load up Red Dead Redemption 2. If you want to go into the online portion, there's a section in the menu. Now, by what he's saying here, or Naughty Dog is saying, it's not going to be part of this game. So when
it sounds
you
like a
load
separate
up
entity.
Yeah, when you load up The Last of Us Part 2 that you paid $60 for, it will not be included. So that's disappointing in my opinion, because say what you want to say about control and quality control. I get all that, right? It's disappointing that they got this information out when they did, because it was Outbreak Day. They didn't get the information out themselves first. It was kind of a leak, but the pre-orders went up before people actually knew that the multiplayer wasn't going to be a part of the game. And I think that's not really cool, in my opinion, when it comes to your fans and your loyal supporters, because there's a lot of people that enjoy the multiplayer aspect of the game. And when you're revealing this at State of Play, it's kind of the time to tell people, I know you want to build up the hype train, but at the same time, you don't want to have shady practices. So where people put their money down on Amazon and all this other stuff, right? Pre-ordering the special editions, thinking they're going to get the whole game plus the multiplayer. And then it comes out that, hey, we're not going to have the multiplayer in there. Because as a consumer, then you have to decide, well, was I lied to, or misinformed about the game because the first one had it and this one doesn't have it. It's just weird as a consumer, because when you make a video game, I'm trying to find a comparison for this. Okay, when you set the standard and say, hey, our video game has this, right, in the first game, and the multiplayer was popular and it was very, very popular. It's loved. Okay, yes. So you set that standard, right, for your video game, and all of a sudden you don't have that in the next game. It's going to upset your consumer base. You're taking away from the product, right? The standard that people are used to. So I can see where people are coming from online. Like, take the trolls out of it. Like, I've seen hardcore PlayStation dudes that have days into this multiplayer, yes, that are legitimately upset, and they have a right to be upset because they legitimately love the multiplayer, and that's what extends the life of the game for them. And it's not going to be there. I understand that they're going to put it in some other form, but what is that form going to be? Is it going to cost money for that multiplayer? Is it going to have the Last of Us name, or are they going to use the assets for something completely different? Is it going to have lots of microtransactions? None of that. Nobody knows any of that.
And they haven't commented on it also, which is also slightly mysterious.
It's just that statement looks like a lawyer drafted it up. Honestly, I went through it.
My goodness. Well, listen,
you're not wrong.
No. Yeah. You're well, listen, Don. I'm going to go to you. Don, I want to go to you next on regarding this. Okay. Now, here's the thing. Salty, when you brought up a comparison, what came to mind for me personally, and of course I'm addressing this for Don. Let's just say, for shits and giggles, that at Gamescom, 2019, they show the single player campaign, or at E3 2019, Microsoft and the coalition open up with single player campaign. And they don't talk much about the multiplayer. And people are like, wow, that's kind of weird. But single player looks great, right? We're excited. If they would have released Gears 5 with multiplayer coming later, the internet would have melted, right? And people would have been out of their mind upset because, quite frankly, there are some people, like the Call of Duty franchise, that don't even touch the single-player campaign, could care less because they're so into the multiplayer. Now, I don't necessarily compare The Last of Us 2's multiplayer to Gears, because Gears at its core is kind of like a 50-50 kind of a game, in my opinion, because,
I don't know if that even matters, right? Like, if people are excited about a particular multiplayer on a game, they're excited about that multiplayer on the game.
Right, yes.
It's not, it's not about stick measuring, I would say, at that point, right? It's about what they like. But continue on with your question.
No. Well, my question to you is, are you in the same camp that people are really, really upset of the fact that this multiplayer mode that was made tremendously famous in the first one many, many years ago it has been actually backburnered, if you will, because of the size of the single-player campaign? Do you buy what this statement is saying, or do you, like you were saying, was this written by an attorney for Naughty Dog?
I mean, there's sometimes when you get into legal trouble that it gets run by an attorney, usually whatever the marketing guy is, or the guy that's in charge of, like, the community, that sort of thing. All that stuff is kind of run by legal in most studios that I know of. But so it's hard for me to be upset on something, on a mode I forgot about.
Right.
If you know what I mean? In regards to that. But I understand where people are coming from. They're legitimately upset because they like that particular multiplayer mode. And let's be honest, the PlayStation brand can use more of that. I mean, they can use more multiplayer modes in their games. Because it doesn't make sense on all their games, of course, right? So it's not really so much. It's kind of nice to see, like, this kind of issue happen with, like, a Sony product, because you have seen it happen with Microsoft products. I'll use Halo 5 for example. The multiplayer was very light comparison to when it launched, comparison to where it is now, because not all the modes were available at the time. So it was kind of a very light version of multiplayer compared to other Halos. It's one of the things they got criticized for. Everyone's forgot about it now, because if you go log in now, there's tons of stuff to do on. But when it launched, you have a lot of that stuff. So setting up your customers' expectations, this is where I think me and Salty will agree, is I feel like one of the sentiments you can illustrate with every gamer throughout this whole entire generation is poor customer expectation. And in that sense, it's the customer's fault or anything like that. It's just we managed it very well, right? Because what happens, they talked about it, it's around the corner to come out, right? So what talk about, hey, you know what, here's all these positive things and here's this negative thing. No, their job is to try to sell anything positive about the product. And a lot of times, companies are guilty of this, where they'll sweep certain things under the rug, or they forget about they talked about it several years ago and stuff like that. And because you're locked in whatever studio you are, and sometimes you don't think about the outside world and what your fans are thinking about at the time. So just happens. So all that stuff goes, it's not really a big deal, the way I look at it from my perspective, but I understand where it's a big deal from the consumer standpoint. And I would say the industry, we should do better. And I think the real solution is stop talking about stuff that's not ready.
Okay. That you actually, it was one of your big points on your opening. Yeah.
I mean, and this has kind of been an ongoing thing over the years. Is like, stop showing stuff so far out. Stop it. Stop talking about it. I know you're excited. Like I'm excited too, and I get it, but just stop. Think about it, and because there's always things. I mean, this is just the stuff that we know about on the cutting room floor. So much stuff that if you heard about it, you would be so psyched about the game, and then you find out it never made it in the final game, but you don't care because about it, right?
Yeah.
And so that's kind of where it's at. I mean, there's a previous expectation as well, but I think one of the biggest things they did, they should never have talked about it.
Yeah, man. Well, I mean, listen, again, the cat's out of the bag, and unfortunately, you can't rewind time. But first of all, I have to apologize as a host because Enrique, my very good friend, Enrique, did I miss you on this particular topic? My God.
You did. It's okay though, Boo, because I'm working at the same time.
Oh, okay.
So I'm like, it's cool, man. It's cool, but
well, listen, Enrique, before I get to your point on both points on it, LMNOP, who is an outstanding community member, drops not one but two super chats. First one is $2, so thank you for that. He says 2 Blu-rays for this game means a lot of cutscenes, and I really enjoy the way that Sony tells their stories, so I'm looking forward to that. And he drops an additional $5 super chat. He says, I think online will be a totally new game after part 2, like State of Decay co-op multiplayer. That is possible. The question is, are they going to charge? Now, Enrique, obviously, I'd like to get your opinion on both of these points. First of all, the fact that people are already clamoring Game of the Year for 2020, and obviously we're still 3 months out from 2020. Yeah. And you know what? I mean, that's a testament to Naughty Dog. They have a fantastic reputation. So I want to get your opinion on that, but I also want to get your opinion on how damaging the no multiplayer is for a game as big as The Last of Us 2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think. Could it be a Game of the Year contender? Possibly, giving Naughty Dog's pedigree. I think, obviously, for what we saw from the trailer, this game, they have really built. I mean, it's just on a grander scale. I mean, I think that's evident. I think Salty mentioned the attention to detail that Naughty Dog has put into this game, and Neil Druckmann mentioned it too in his comment. Hey, we have this. We put so much into this game that it's a lot of work has gone into this, and it's probably gone beyond their own expectations, possibly internally as well. But it's one of my most most anticipated games of 2020.
Oh, right, that's good to hear.
Yeah, right up there with Cyberpunk. So now with the multiplayer stuff, like for me, it's definitely disappointing. I did dibble and dabble in the multiplayer, but I wasn't like hardcore into it. I know a lot of people love like the factions and love them, and played multiplayer, and I can understand why those people are upset. And I totally get it. I don't think there's anything wrong with, people being upset. What I don't agree with, with some of the stuff that I saw some people lobbying some really nasty insults.
Of course, and that's unfortunately social media at its core. Yeah,
and that's like, as a community, we got to do better. And I say we got to do better, and I say that because like that's how we get stereotyped.
Yeah.
Like when things like mass shootings happen, and they're those gamers, those crazy gamers who don't know how to act. I mean, like, it's unfortunate. Like, we can't do that. Like, and it's. I'm not saying we need to police ourselves, but I think we need to call that out and say, hey, guys, it's not cool. You don't need to, make homophobic references or comments.
Oh God, it's now that's when I draw a line because it's unacceptable behavior. Absolutely.
Yeah, or make anti-Semitic comments at him. I mean, it's just not cool. Like, I saw that stuff yesterday.
It's gross.
And I'm just like, why? Yeah, it's just not. It's not necessary. I understand being upset. Everyone has the right to be upset, but not to that level. I think there's a better way to approach that than to lob insults. But I think that's just, unfortunately, the part of the community that's just the ugly side. I think, it sounds like they're in a tough situation here. I mean, I think Don said earlier, like, try to manage, your consumers' expectations as much as possible. And I agree with that. And they did announce the multiplayer, about a year ago, I think it was, where they confirmed it. And it was, obviously a big component, big part of the first Last of Us. But it just sounds like, they're in a tough spot. Like, hey, we gotta I'm sure Sony's kind of clamoring down, saying, "Hey, you guys need to meet this Q1, launch window, and you guys need to release before Cyberpunk drops, and you need to probably release before because I think doesn't Final Fantasy VII remake like release the next month?
Yes, there's so many big games. It's unbelievable. It really 2020 is going to be insane.
So, they got to beat that launch window. And so it's like, the pressure's on. They're probably in crunch right now, you would imagine, right? Probably those 80-hour work weeks.
Yep.
And and so they probably have got to. It sounds like this was not an easy choice for them. And it's unfortunate. And I totally get what Don was saying, about managing, your expectations or your consumer expectations. But I can't imagine being in that situation. And I almost sympathize with them in a way because, they're putting their hearts and soul into this game.
Yes.
I mean, you're putting 80-hour work weeks into something. You're not doing it for shits and giggles. You're doing it because you're trying to create a product that's of high quality, right?
Well, they're also trying to outdo themselves from the last game. Yes,
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're trying to outdo themselves. And that's a big bar. I mean, that's why I always compliment Turn 10 for what they've done with Forza, because that's not easy to do that on a consistent level, to put out quality content like that. Nintendo does another example. They typically put out, consistently good quality, first party content. That's not easy. And so I think they just got to a situation where it's like, wow, we can't do both right now. And we're going to have to put, unfortunately, the multiplayer on the back burner. And I think it's disappointing. But I think once a game releases and people start playing the game, I think most people will probably forget that the multiplayer is not there. And I think this game's going to do very well for Naughty Dog, for Sony. But I'm definitely disappointed. And I hope they release the multiplayer. It sounds like it's going to be kind of like a standalone thing.
Yes.
Where they charge, maybe it's DLC. I heard like a battle royale type situation on PlayStation 5. Taking advantage of
I got
that
news for you, dude. If this turns out to be anything but a free-to-play game, people are going to be rioting in the streets, even Sony fans, because I see where you're going, and I understand that we're getting a 40-hour game, and I don't care paying. In fact, I'm getting the collector's edition, though that shouldn't be a surprise. I'm not getting the $229 one because I find the all the other stuff is not worth it. I'm definitely getting the Ellie statue. I wish it would have been her killing someone, not playing a guitar. That's just me. I'm just saying. But you
want the Boom edition.
Yes, I want the little bit more violent edition, but it's okay. But I think it's going to be a problem if there's any money on the back end of this multiplayer, dude.
But Boom, what if it's like this? And I get what you're saying. I think if it's a situation where here's my take. I think if it's like an awesome fleshed out multiplayer experience, right? And it's maybe $30-$40. I mean, I could be okay with it. I think it just depends on what they bring to the table with that multiplayer experience. I think if it's more like a DLC type situation or kind of like an extension of what would have been included in the game, $60 retail, then I think that maybe that you could probably make that argument. Hey, this isn't cool. You guys are charging us for something that probably should have been included in the game day one. Or hey, if you bought The Last of Us, you're eligible for the DLC or something like that for free, whatever the case is. But I just think it also depends on what's included content wise in that multiplayer experience. So
no, that's a great point. Listen, what I want to do is we're already an hour into the show, and obviously what I'd like to do, and again, when you have a panel this big, normally the way it goes on a lot of shows is people. It's the Wild West. People just jump in and out. I try to give everyone a voice. So before we move on to the next topic, there are some people I didn't get a chance to. Is there anyone that I didn't get a chance to talk to, want to just kind of give their 2 cents as we close out this topic regarding the multiplayer? Because I really do want to hear from everyone, but I just want to kind of don't want to spend 2 hours on Last of Us 2.
Right. I'd be interested to see. What I want to know is one, everybody's talking about the multiplayer coming later. We've seen examples of games where it's worked, Red Dead, Grand Theft Auto. So I don't think it coming out later is a big deal. I think it can work. It just depends on what's in there. Also, are they going to charge you for it or not charge you for it? That's another big deal. If they do charge you for it, like you said, I think that's going to be it's not going to hit gamers in a right way. I'd be interested to see, because we don't get to see it. I would like to see what the numbers were for the multiplayer in the first game.
Yes,
how many people played it? How many people played it? How many hours spent on it? What do the servers look like? Were they dead toward the end of it? We don't get to see those numbers, but they get to see the traffic of the numbers, and maybe they just saw those numbers and said, hey, you know what? Spending time developing this may not be worth it. And maybe they just thought, okay, well, there's not a lot of people playing it. Maybe it's a small fraction of people who bought the game, a very small fraction of people from PlayStation that played this game. We really don't need it. And then once they put the game out, and then the announcement was there would be no multiplayer, then those people spoke up. So maybe, public pressure caused them to say, hey, we'll put it out later. But I don't think that's a bad thing because, like I said, we've had examples of games putting out their multiplayer later. So that's my take on it. I just think that maybe there wasn't a lot of traffic and they thought it's not worth the time of doing it. And then now all of a sudden they have to because
they have
a backlash.
That's a great point. Anyone else? Big Cloud, would you like to kind of throw your 2 cents in regards to this?
Yeah, I'll piggyback for what Nick said. I do agree. I do kind of would like to see the numbers to see how exactly, how do people actually play this, I mean, you can still get matches in The Last of Us right now. So people are still playing the game, a lot. You can get matches anytime. So it's still got traffic on there, obviously. But we don't know how many people actually play it, concurrently. As far as them separating it, again, my only fear is if they would actually sell this like a separate thing. Like, it kind of feels like they kind of branched it off, don't it? Like, they wanted to become its own separate
thanks
thing.
to Salty's detective skills, reading between the lines. That was great.
It does kind of feel like that. It does kind of feel like that when you separate it, because it's like, like, oh, let's put all our resources to the single player, because let's be real, and separate who is, here for the actual story versus the online portion, right? And this kind of could play a factor into the 2 disc thing. Because remember, the game's supposed to go on 2 discs. So 1 disc could be strictly for the multiplayer, and them adding additional DLC, season passes, weapons, whatever. You know what I'm saying? They can do that type of thing. Me personally, the multiplayer for The Last of Us 2, I ain't gonna lie, or The Last of Us 1, it was good, and I do like it, certain aspects of it, but if they are going to like really revamp it and kind of do like what they did with Uncharted 4, like really, really revamp it, then, I think it could be better, but I don't know. It's not really like, I don't think it's going to be one of those type of multiplayers. It really depends though, how they, go about the feedback.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Anyone else before I move on to the next topic? Okay, well, I want to bring up, I'm sorry, does somebody want to say something?
Oh, no, that's everybody.
Oh, okay. Yeah, all right. Well, moving on, because obviously, first of all, I want to thank everybody for, being patient and understanding, because it's a big topic in gaming. And I the way I run the shows, everyone has a voice. It's important to me as a content creator to make sure that people come onto the show, because remember, this is their time. They're donating their time, not only to you guys, but to me, being here. And I have to make sure that they feel comfortable and heard. So, thanks for understanding that this topic was an hour. And, when you talk about PlayStation, at least for me anyway, you have to talk about the other side of the aisle. And of course, I'm talking about the Xbox brand. And in a recent interview, Aaron Greenburg had a tremendous amount to say about their first-party games, more specifically the recently acquired first-party studios. And according to Greenburg, he was pleasantly surprised by how much innovation and content is coming from the new studios. And I gotta be honest with you, this should excite Xbox fans across the board. Microsoft obviously acquired 7 studios in a year and a few months. I want to say maybe about 15 months, they got 7 new studios. And those acquisitions included Playground Games, Undead Labs, Compulsion Games, Ninja Theory, Obsidian, In Exile, and the more recently announced Double Fine Studios. Now, this is a very clear picture, or at least should be a very clear picture for anyone willing to look and see what Phil Spencer has done to course correct the issues that have plagued the Xbox brand this entire generation. And in this interview with the official Xbox magazine, Aaron Greenburg stated there are very strong creative energies that are coming from the newly acquired development studios, and he has been, of course, again, pleasantly surprised by the amount of innovation and sheer content that's being worked on. And he had a few things that he said that I thought were pretty interesting. The first quote was, It's just been incredibly exciting to go to each of these studios and to open the door at Ninja Theory or to walk into Obsidian and walk around and meet the teams and see what's in the works across all of the different teams. What I can say is there's all kinds of projects that people largely know about, but then there's typical, multiple, and other things that they're working on that no one knows about yet. Now, this is great news because we have heard in several instances that each team at Microsoft within the 15 first-party studios that they now have are working on multiple projects. So, obviously content, at least first party content for the Xbox brand has been a thorn in the side of the brand. And Salty, when you hear Aaron Greenburg talk about the sheer amount of content coming out, but more specifically, the not so much of what they've already announced, but what we don't know about, does that excite you that they understand that there was an issue and they are, in fact, addressing that issue?
Yeah, I remember talking about this last night on the Salty Gaming podcast. It was like the last topic, so we didn't really get into it. But I was talking about just subscription services in general. If you look at Netflix, right, they're always putting out content. There has to be a stream of first-party content. That's the important thing for all these subscription services. You look at Disney Plus, how many TV shows have they announced, right? Original content, right? It's just out of this world, right? And that's addition to all the movies that they have on file and et cetera, et cetera. So you have to have the content to be able to put new stuff in there, not even just monthly, but almost weekly to make your customers happy and keep them within the service. Now that's important for the gaming industry as well, because the bottom line is in gaming right now, everybody's creating their own subscription service, right? Ubisoft's making their subscription service. EA has one.
Yep.
And once they do that, it's not going to be a thing where those people are going to put their games in Xbox Game Pass. So you cross those off. And if you want to have the content to keep your customers in there, you have to have multiple games. So it makes sense that these studios are going to expand how many people are working there and then have multiple teams working on multiple different projects. So they you know what I'm saying?
Yes, no, it makes sense. I mean, obviously content is key, and you can't ask someone to pay a monthly subscription for a service that's not going to give you new and original content. And the Netflix comparison is fantastic because as a subscriber, I know for me, like my wife and I, Mrs. Boomstick and I, we are huge movie buffs. And we like binge watching shows. As a matter of fact, there was a show that we just watched. It's a Netflix original. It's called Unforgettable. Oh my God. If you did not see it, it is an unbelievable 8-episode show about a serial rapist. And my God, the actresses that play the roles, it's highly recommended. So it's those kinds of shows that when the monthly bill comes in and they take it out of your credit card, you don't give it a second thought because you're getting amazing content. So I see what you mean, Salty.
Yeah, and El Camino's coming out for Netflix. It's a Breaking Bad movie. Yep. That's actually going to be in theaters here in Phoenix, right? I could go to my local theater and watch that movie. It has a budget of over $6 million. So a lot of these studios that they acquired had assets and projects they were working on. One of those good examples is Ninja Theory with Bleeding Edge, right? They were working on that, and then they're going to get that out, and that's just some more content. Plus, Ninja Theory has a bigger game that they're working on.
Yeah,
right?
AAA, a secret AAA title they're working on. Yep.
Yeah, and then Obsidian, we got rumors of that RPG slash. It's like a hack and slash something going on, and then they have Outer Worlds coming out. So it just sounds like a lot of content, and they're going to need that. To be honest, because like I said, if you fast forward years down the road, it's just going to be their content and then indie studios as well. So you have to have the bigger titles like the Halo Infinites and all that other stuff, and then the smaller titles to kind of put in there and sprinkle. You sprinkle your content in there, keep your consumers happy. So.
No, that's a great point. That's a fantastic point. You know what? Keeping the customer happy is what keeps them paying. That's a great point. I want to go to Enrique on this. Here's another quote from Aaron Greenburg that I want you to elaborate on because I think it's important. You can expect new games. You can expect sequels. You can expect new IP. You can expect things you never thought of. That's the fun part of having all of these studios. When you hear that, does that give you confidence, again, that they understand that the fan base was, in fact, very disappointed, even though they had some first-party games, it wasn't enough, but now they're addressing it. What does that tell you as a gamer?
Well, I think the obvious is that, obviously they've admitted this through their acquisition of studios that the first party was an issue for them this console generation, and I'm actually excited that they are invested in creating more content for Game Pass. I think Game Pass is a great service. I think that it's an opportunity for them to, I love the one thing I like about Game Pass is that it gives me access to games that I may or may not have wanted to play in the past, and I don't have to pay for those games. And now that I have Game Pass on PC, which I think they need to add more games on Game Pass and PC, I'm even more excited about what potentially they're going to be or have cooking or have in the works right now. So, obviously, I think the jury's still out. We got to see, what kind of games they're going to put out, and these games are of quality. But at least for the time being, I think they're headed in the right direction as compared to how they started off, early console generation and the midpoint this gen, when a lot of the exclusive games that they had, like Scalebound and some of the other games, were canceled, like Fable.
Yes.
This is definitely a step in the right direction. So it's good. It's good that they're talking about this and they're, keeping gamers informed. But I still think, obviously, I think the jury's out. We have to wait and see, the quality of these games and how well they're going to be and well received amongst the gaming community. But outside of that, man, I mean, I'm excited. I think this is good. This is good. We want to see, and I always say this to people, as critical as I am as Microsoft, I still want them to be successful because, competition is good for the industry.
It absolutely is. Yeah. That's a great point. A lot of people forget that, how important that is.
Yeah, so I hope their first party studios or new acquisitions develop really solid gameplay experiences, because that's going to push everyone else in the industry to do the same. It's going to keep people on their toes. So that's what I'm looking forward to. But on that note, Boom, I do need to go, man, because I'm a little past the hour mark here, and dude, I wish I could stay longer, but I get back to work.
No, listen, first of all, thanks for being here, dude. It is always an honor to work with you. You're a good friend. We talk privately. A lot of people don't know that, and it's always great to work with you. Thanks again for being here, dude.
No, absolutely, man. Always my pleasure. Love doing the show with you, Boom. And hey, man, I see you're growing, man. This is awesome. It's really cool to see the growth that you've had the last couple months, man. So keep up the great work, man. It's awesome.
I definitely appreciate the compliment. Thank you very much, and enjoy your weekend. Hugs and kisses to the family, my brother.
Yep, you too, man. And to everyone on the panel, guys, great seeing you guys. And I'll catch you guys later.
Later, my brother. Okay. Thanks again.
All right, see you guys.
All right. Now, Don, I want to read another quote from Aaron Greenburg, because, again, I love the fact that I can talk to you, I mean, besides being a great friend, but as a developer and a gamer, I love that you have a real unique position and opinion. He says this: Ninja Theory, when we met with them, we were like, hey, we had this project in development before you guys acquired us. This is Ninja Theory telling Aaron Greenburg. This multiplayer character shooter brawler, Bleeding Edge. And their response was, wow, we didn't expect that. And of course, they greenlit them to finish the project, which we've seen. A lot of people have been playing the beta and the alpha. And if you're a Power Stone fan like I am, you're looking forward to the game. It's going into Game Pass, and we also know that the A team, like people like to call it, that worked on Hellblade, they're off working on something else that Microsoft has yet to talk about. When you hear stories like this, and coming from a developer's point of view, do you think that there's a lot in store for Xbox gamers, being the way Microsoft is and how they're treating all of their first-party developers?
I feel like there's a bright future. I mean, it doesn't matter what type of platform you like. I think competition is going to be brought on both ends. I don't think anyone is going to be slipping up at the beginning of their launches. I think a lot of lessons have been learned from both companies, and I should say both platform providers, and they're going to bring high quality content. Now, one of the changes that I'm seeing at Microsoft, and it's more similar to, I would say, the original Xbox generation, like the very first Xbox they released. Get the studios, get those relationships, and get content.
Yes.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And then going into the 360 era, you saw a slow shift throughout that generation, which was there weren't so much pushing, right? There was a little bit of a top down going on with the studios. And there's a little bit of the studios kind of like, well, will they bite on this idea, or will they bite on, get what I'm saying? Like, you have a boss, so you're trying to always kind of like, you're doing your job and you want to be creative, but also at the same time you want to be in the mindset of your boss so you can obviously keep your job and do well. Now what I'm seeing a lot more is a lot more of the idea. Let the studios be the creative ideas, manage themselves, but be basically the bankroll to keep these things going. And that's what I'm hearing a lot about David Gallagher behind the scenes is there's always like these, I don't want to say roadblocks, but there's these development, right?
Mm-hmm.
Be it either technology based, or have to get somebody that's, particular field that will help them out. That's that sort of thing. So it's either staffing or usually equipment or budget. Now there's like, what do you need? Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
No one's in trouble here, but there's an issue we got to address. So how do we address this? And what he's good about keeping that momentum still behind things. I'm also hearing a lot of people just say, man, I don't what they call, the crunch, right?
Right. Yes.
But I also don't have the downtime. And that's what I'm hearing a lot too from this few people I know at some of these studios is work to do. And sometimes, like, say somebody like in my particular field, like for example, I do a lot of the graphic side of things. So rigging characters, doing all sorts of different types of assets. Sometimes I have I'm being told to go home because like I'm creating so much content, and then they keep shoving everything into the engine, and then there's more bugs they have to fix, right?
Right.
So sometimes it creates more of a mess. So a very organized way to do that is to kind of the brakes on certain staff. Well, in this case, there's like, hey, go work on this project. If you have that creative flow, keep it coming. Go work on this thing for a little bit as we try to fix this problem, and then we'll bring you back on the project. So, everybody's got something to do. That basically that bottleneck of crunch, but they're keeping everything going. They're keeping everything alive, and also I think what I'm hearing from the collaboration between studios is a really good thing as well. They kind of know where their pitfalls are with one another, and sometimes some studios are able to reach out to other studios and help them out.
Yes, that's something that we were hearing. And I'm not a developer, so what the hell do I know? But I have heard that in many articles that this is something that Sony is known for. Like one studio could go to another studio because they're having a problem, and they're like, "We'll work together to work that problem out." You've seen it with you've seen it like the pictures on Twitter from a company to another. Thanks for the help. That's something that's been talked about publicly and privately, for that matter, that they're doing in abundance. When one studio is struggling, another studio could lend a hand to assist. I think that's amazing.
Well, and what you're seeing is with the selected studios they have, the talent's very, very diverse. They're not more of the same. And so that's where Microsoft's strength is going to be, is the diversity of the talent that they have there. So therefore, when they have some sort of unique thing that's out of their wheelhouse, do this. They can approach, Matt Booty and say, hey, we want to do this. We feel this would make a big difference in their game. And I'm being ambiguous, but you get where I'm going with that. Some of it's a little bit outside of their wheelhouse, But if you look at their tool chest of what developers they have and what people in different areas, it is very well possible that they are able to pull off those things instead of having ideas just sit on the table on the cutting room floor. Ideas implemented into their games, and that's what excites me. What's going on with Microsoft behind the scenes? But the question is, I think every person that's an Xbox fan or looking at Xbox is kind of looking at that, and we'll see at the C3, I would imagine. So
yeah, and that's a great point. Big Cloud, I want to read you another quote from Aaron Greenburg. I want to get your opinion on it. He says, "For In Exile, there's the Wasteland team, and there's a team working on another thing," right? Of course, he doesn't specify. "We don't just have new IP. What we've done is taken a collection of some of the greatest creative minds in the industry and given them freedom and the resources to go do what they want to create. And then we really let them do that independently. We support them in every way we can, and then we work with them, come back with those creations when they're ready, and work out the right time to show them." When you hear that, this is not only impressive for me as an Xbox fan, but exciting because of the future that's been basically behold for the future of the actual platform that some people have been slightly disappointed in. What are your feelings on what Aaron had to say on that particular paragraph?
Well, him saying creative freedom, I mean, that kind of just sounds like what you see with Sony. You know, it's how Sony Studios are split into two teams.
Yes.
So they focus on one, not just one, but two games. So it kind of feels like they're taking, just taking a little bit of notes from that and that particular thing. As far as them delivering games, like, I mean, we're at that point. I think you can agree. We're all at that point where it's like, well, seeing is better than than hearing what you have to say. You know, you have to show what you got at this point. And Gears of War 5, despite being a great game that we got recently, I mean, it's not enough. You know, we need something else. We need more than just Gears. We need more
great
than just
points.
Forza.
Great
we
point.
need more than just the other game. You know, we need more than that. We need more. Fable. I mean, I see a lot of people bringing up Fable, and a lot of people have faith in Fable. Fable is not really, I mean, well, not for me, right? It's not really something that I would be hyped for. But I mean, some of you might be hyped for Fable. But again, I would like to see more. You know what I'm saying? I would like to see the Coalition step up and make something else, make the successor to Gears, if that makes sense. You know, I would like that type of thing. I would love to see these studios really be able to go out there and throw out something new, and and all of you be shocked by it. But just it's a little hard to get super excited over stuff that you kind of been hearing. So
yeah, some studios are just not built like that, though. I mean, some of them are like some want to just work on that series, like and there's always an outskirt developer within there that wants to do something different, but it's not like the majority. So you always have to kind of go with what the majority of the studio wants to do, right? You go to Churn 10, they want to make card games. Like you go to 343, you want to make Halo games. You go to Coalition, you want to do that.
You gotta ask yourself, would you or would you not be hyped just to see the Coalition do something else?
I absolutely think that I'll say this. I understand. I'm going to get booed for this, and I hear people. I understand. I got booed for saying that I wanted Gears 5 to be a semi-open world. I got booed way back before it was actually confirmed. When I said, no. People were in the chat were booing me. Really, it's unbelievable. And most of it was in jest. In truth,
and keep in mind, you're not slandering the game. You're not doing anything. You're just asking that.
I just wanted more, basically.
Exactly.
Yes.
There's nothing wrong with asking for more. Just like The Last of Us Part 2. Us asking for open world mechanics, or hell, an open world Last of Us Part 2 where you can run into clickers.
Yeah.
That would have been amazing. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
That would have been amazing.
Yes.
But again, sometimes you can't get it. But it's just an option, or not really an option, right? Just I wouldn't even say a theory. I would just say it's more like, it's one of those things you just kind of would like to see, but more than likely wouldn't happen. I would like to see the Coalition really push Gears, or not really, they already pushed Gears, but I would like to see them push something else aside from Gears.
Me too. Me too, absolutely.
And really show up.
Yeah.
Could you imagine them doing a Left 4 Dead type game?
Wow.
See what I'm saying? I would love to see something like that from Gears. If they want to push the zombie horror element, why not do a 4 co-op, player alien type game? Do something, something crazy. Let their creative freedom go wild. Let them,
but they
go
are.
out something.
That's the thing, is what people don't understand. Their creative freedom is going wild. And here's my thing: is it doesn't matter what the studio is, and it can be Naughty Dog, it can be the Coalition. It really doesn't matter. I want the studios to do what they are passionate about, because that's what's going to get you the product. So if the Coalition is passionate about Gears, but if it's a studio, yeah, but if it's a studio that because use Naughty Dog for example.
Mm-hmm.
Naughty Dog is a studio that's even before Sony bought them, they were about IPs, right? And totally different types of studios, and Rare's like that too, right? Rare's going to want to ditch Sea of Thieves.
Yes, they are. They're notorious for that, and I applaud that. I applaud that.
The game is just things. So some studios are built like that, and some studios at IP, and so just what depends on who's there and what they want to do. And I don't think that's going to be an issue going forward. I think what you're going to get is these studios ideas are, and I think Microsoft is starting to realize that they can't.
Yeah, it comes down to the excitement for me, right? Like, I don't want to just see the same stuff, It's kind of like you going, let's say it's like you going to lunch, right? And all they serve is spaghetti. Are you really going to keep eating spaghetti the entire week?
No, I'm going to Blimpies. I'm sorry.
You're gonna go to Subway. You're gonna go somewhere else.
I said Blimpies, folks. I'm old. You got to remember that was the thing before.
I don't want the same thing over and over. I want something. I want options. I want the ability to go to this and get that. And that's where Sony's been so good at. Now, granted, Sony, again with their first party studios, they've been on a roll, but Microsoft has all this talent. They're buying all this talent left and right, and so many of these, there's so much potential here, so many good games. I just don't want to see it kind of felt like at the first when we first saw them buy the talent. It just felt like they just bought the IPs, didn't it, Boom? Like some of the games they were already working on.
Yes,
it just felt like they just bought their games. It didn't feel like they actually bought them for the sake of letting them go out there and make their, their games they wanted. Nah, it just felt like they were just buying certain games to fill a quota.
We'll see the fruits of those labors from Ninja Theory and the AAA game. We know Obsidian is working on a new AAA first-person game. So when those games come out and they're officially on the Xbox and, of course, PC as exclusives, then we'll be able to say, yeah, I see your point. I definitely see your point.
Yeah, just it's just a lot of it's a lot of empty, spaces,
For right now,
yes. Yeah, it's a lot of empty spaces, and from everything that we've been seeing, and we're talking about next gen, so we don't even know what you're gonna get next gen. So, they got a lot to answer for. They got a lot to answer for. Game Pass is cool, but it's like, you still need the content for Game Pass.
You make great points. There's absolutely no arguing them whatsoever.
Netflix ain't nothing without the movies, is it?
That's correct. Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? A lot of people lost stock in Netflix. A lot of people stopped subscribing to Netflix when they lost the Marvel TV shows.
Yep, sure did.
So I'm saying,
yeah.
Are you going to continue to subscribe to Game Pass? If you're going to just continue to get Gears and nothing else?
No, you're not.
That was what Salty's point was, though, that it seems like they're doing that to make sure that happens in the future. It seems like they're more focused on what's coming in, like next gen. What I got from this E3 was the fact that they only showed very little. They told us they were acquiring more studios. I feel like they're just gearing up for when the Project Scarlet comes out. Bam! Here's what's coming to Game Pass. Here's what Game Pass is worth. Here's all the first-party games that you can get in Game Pass, whether it's small games, big games, whatever. I feel like on Salty's point, I feel like that's what they're doing. Now, to your point, I'm going to have to agree. I keep hearing about free reign for all these studios. They're creating. I can't wait to show you. Eventually, you're going to have to rein in that free creation and start putting out content, because
there's going to have to be a path to follow.
Yeah.
I agree.
I mean, it kind of feels like that old theory that from that article. Yeah, I remember they were talking about they were going to be making AA games to fill up Game Pass at the time. It was like an old quote. I think it was from Matt Booty in an interview he had, something like that.
Yeah.
It was an old quote. And it felt like that. And I was like, I don't want to see that. I don't want to see you just buy talent for the sake of just, having them throw cell phone like games. I don't want to see that type
you
of
want
service.
yeah.
So I want to see the results here pretty soon. I think we're going to see them come
sooner than later. I agree.
Right, because Project X Cloud has been the main talk.
Right,
Yeah,
but like I'm with you on that. But I'm also with Salty's point. I think it's going to come because they know that they can't have Game Pass without having their own content. I mean, you can put third-party games in there all you want, but eventually you're going to have your own content that is worth purchasing Game Pass for. I think it's coming, but once again, I need to see it because I'm tired of hearing about like we have free reign. I'm with you on that.
Hey, Salty, you there? You still there? I bet you would agree.
Yeah,
Salty,
I'm still here.
I bet you agree that even though they need their own first party, that quality still is going to play a big factor in what it is.
Absolutely, for sure,
without a doubt, for sure.
It's that quality, bro.
Well, I mean, they have their quality though.
They do, but
they got quality studios. But I'm saying, like, in terms of the content they've been pushing out with these studios.
Yeah, the thing is you have to have a balance between having content out on a regular basis and then having those banger exclusives. Because the thing is Netflix, you're not going to go there to watch some half-assed product, right? You need to have like the Stranger Things of the world, the El Caminos, or just stuff that you can't get anywhere else. Because El Camino costs $6 million plus, right? It's not like a small budget thing, so they're putting in big content in there, but you can also find some indie type content in there as well. So it's like filling up the pot with different types of things. That's what they have to do.
It's just like a menu, Salty. You're gonna have your dollar menu
you need
stuff,
the appetizers, you need the encore.
but you want that steak and potato that's $18.99. You know what I'm saying? You eat that and you're like, yeah, I'm good.
That fancy meal that's there.
You're gonna get it with like some of their big games. I get that, but I'm with Salty on this one. But once again, I'm ready to see it.
Yeah,
I'm tired of just the like, okay, we're working on it. We got creative freedom. We're happy. We're ecstatic. I'm like, guys, I'm happy for you, but I haven't seen anything. You know what I'm saying? I haven't seen anything from you for the longest. And tell you the truth, a lot of people are beyond restless at this point.
Well, listen,
let them go.
That's a fantastic point. First of all, we have breaking news I'm going to talk about in a second, but Hyena Den, I want to get your last opinion on this because obviously this was a great topic and it was a lot to unpack. And I as an Xbox gamer first, right, who supports all three consoles, I understood that there has been some shortcomings in this generation. And though I've had a great time with my Xbox, I'm not going to sit here and try and sugarcoat it. I've loved everything that I've played. But when you hear that, as a fan of the brand, someone that's a big Forza fan and someone that's an Xbox mostly fan, when you hear that the content is coming, when you see the investment in the services, when you see the investment in the talent that's coming over almost on a daily basis from some of the biggest names in gaming, are you excited for the future? And do you understand that the excitement that like a guy like Aaron Greenburg has when he goes from studio to studio and he gets a chance to see the games that we don't know about that only they and him does?
Like, I personally am very excited when it comes to a lot of these studios. I've always said to myself that the studios that I'm most excited for are Obsidian Entertainment, Ninja Theory, and Playground Games for all very different reasons. Right. On Twitter, I have made it a sport in and of itself, people, when it comes to this whole narrative of single A, double A, triple A games. Because now I, as an artist, find it absurd. Not just as an artist, but as a gamer, as a film buff, what have you, right? I do not want to live in a world, or not. This can extend to movies as well and television. I do not want to live in a world where there's just AAA games out there. I
agree.
I find
great point.
That the most bland, boring world to ever exist in. Okay. And Don might be able to back me up on this. There has to be a sense of balance when it comes to video games. Without some of these amazing indie games out there, like Creature in the Well. It's on Game Pass. It's a fantastic game. They mashed together of pinball with like roguelike elements, and like, who could have thought of something like that? You look at these games and it's like, it's reasons like this that I still play video games today. These are the type of games that keep the other publishers out there grounded, because they're innovating out there, whereas you have somebody like your Activision with Call of Duty, is that all they care about is putting out the same stuff. And for a lot of people, that's perfectly fine. That's to each their own. When it comes to Microsoft and all of their first party studios, people say, well, where are the games? They showed you a brand new IP, and that wasn't good enough. They're going to show you a new IP, I guarantee, from Ninja Theory again at XL, and it's probably not going to be good enough. So people need to dig deep in their psyches and find exactly where that line is, because every time they try and show somebody something, whether it's new or, existing, it's not good enough. And I find that to a degree, right? And you look at something like Bleeding Edge, right? I understand Bleeding Edge isn't going to be for everybody. Still a new IP. People say they want new IPs, showing them, and it's still not good enough. And it's like, where is this line that we have to draw, where people have to be very concise with not only their opinions, but what they want from Microsoft? Because like, people say they want new IP, not good enough. People say they want quality games. Gears of War does that, and it's not good enough. So what is the message here? Because it's either it's new IP, AAA, this, that, and it's like, the message isn't clear enough. So for Microsoft, they have to cast a net so wide out there to cover all of their marks, right? And
that's a great point.
But again, this is coming from me as an artist, right? People might have noticed the new icon, Twitter and Discord that I made yesterday morning. And me as an artist, in everything and anything, honestly, and in Game Pass, all of the studios they're picking up, I'm personally just really excited for, because it's you look at somebody like Obsidian Entertainment. This personally shocked me. I thought Obsidian was a 2-man studio. Apparently they have 3 teams going on at Obsidian Entertainment. And I don't think that's for no good reason either, right? Outer Worlds team, which, God bless their souls. The Outer Worlds is coming out in less than 28 days, and I cannot be more hyped for. Once the Outer Worlds is finished, that team specifically is going to move on to the next RPG like the Outer Worlds.
Yes.
They have the Pillars of Eternity team, right? Just like Wasteland guys and PlayStation guys, that CRPGs aren't for everybody, but that team is there for a specific type of gamer. So once the Pillars of Eternity guys, their game to come out with it, they're working on the next CRPG. Their third team is working on an online focused-ish melee and ranged combat game. Yep. Now, for those that don't remember, Obsidian was working on an exclusive for the Xbox One at the launch of the console. It was canceled in 2012 by Microsoft, and it was called Stormlands. Part of me wants to believe they're bringing that idea, to reality, because now they have the funds again for it, and they have full reign, right? That is Obsidian. Everybody thinks of them as single player first, right? Just like Ninja Theory, right? But has made multiplayer games in the past. They made a tank game in the past that was online focused and everything. Them and Ninja Theory, who are making Bleeding Edge, which is online focused, you're getting new IPs from them people might not be interested in. But at the end of the day, it's still new IP. Some people are probably going to be very pissed off that third team in Obsidian unveils that online game, and that game's just not going to be for you. You have the Outer Worlds and you'll have Pillars of Eternity. If those aren't for you, well then In Exile might have something for you. If In Exile doesn't have something you like, well then you move on to Ninja Theory, you move on to this person, and so on and so forth. So it's a really vicious cycle I find in the gaming industry where isn't concise enough with what people want from Microsoft. I know what I want from Microsoft. It's what I've always wanted since 2005 when I actually got my my first Xbox that I bought myself and my first Xbox game, right? With Turn 10, I absolutely adore that studio to death. Some people want to work on different stuff, right? And we've already talked about Obsidian, Ninja Theory, so on and so forth. People want the Coalition to work on a new IP, and I think they are the best candidate to do so. But there are studios within that their own first party, like the Don said, that you're never going to see Turn 10 work on anything other than racing games. That's just the cold fact, right? There are people that have jumped on Forza this generation back in 2005. Next year in March is going to be my 15th anniversary with the franchise. Okay. And so, even when Project Gotham Racing used to be a thing, those guys only did those franchises because that's what they're passionate about. If you look at any of the CEOs at Turn 10 or Playground, all of these guys are genuine car guys, and that's just all they care about. I can't see myself as even if I wasn't a Forza fan, I can't see myself away from something that they want to do. If that's something that they're passionate about, then that's just what they're going to have to rock with, until they're bored of it. That's just how life goes. And obviously, we've already discussed that some people are wanting to take some of those risks, and sadly, there are teams out there that got backlash for showing their creative freedom, in the example of Ninja Theory with Bleeding Edge, and probably Obsidian next with their new online multiplayer game.
Yeah.
But what happens, like I said before, XO19 is the start, and I think Ninja Theory's new game is the things that's going to be shown off there, because obviously that's in London and Ninja Theory is a British studio, and so on and so forth. All the chips are kind of just landing in place, right? XO19 is the start of something great. E3 2020, and I think every single year here on out, you're going to have a brand new game shown off for each of the holidays. And whether you're into big AAA stuff or small indies, I think they're going to cover every single mark. But the last thing I want to say on this specifically, is if you love role-playing games, do not miss out on the Outer Worlds when that comes out.
Yeah.
If you don't have Game Pass, that's perfectly fine. Play it on PlayStation, play it on the Nintendo Switch, play it on PC, play it wherever you can. If you loved Fallout New Vegas, and I am like 8% away from 100%ing the game again, the Outer Worlds. It embodies everything of what a full-on RPG should be, and they're doing so many things right with that game. It's going to be fantastic. But that's all I got to say on the studios.
No, you listen, dude. Love to hear you talk. You're passionate. I appreciate it. Before we get to the breaking news, because I know he already talked, but Nintendo is, first of all, LMNOP drops an additional $5 super chat. I'm sorry that I missed it. I'm just looking at it now, and he says the awesome talent that Xbox has hired has him super excited. And I think that goes for me. Is there anything else you'd like to add to this particular topic, Nintendo, before we move on, brother?
I mean, I've said what I've had to say just about the fact that I'm excited at what they're doing. I agree with Salty, but the content that they gotta have, I'm just at the point of like, I'm ready to see what they have to offer as far as what's going to be in Game Pass from these studios, because once again we're hearing all about it, but we just don't see it.
Yeah, you want to see it.
I believe we will see it around E3 when the next generation gets ready to come out. I think that's when we will see it.
Well, I mean, that's a great point. But, getting back to the breaking news, listen, this has been a big week for me. I had a lot of highs and lows. First of all, I turned 49 on Wednesday. And yes, I'm getting close to 50. I still can't believe it. And, of course, Mrs. Boomstick surprised me. Like I explained, I hadn't had a chance to buy a lot of games. There's family obligations that come first. Financial obligations that are more important than games. And she kind of revamped everything I wanted for the Switch. So that was great. I had a great dinner with her. The family's coming over on Saturday. That was great. Thursday had written up such an amazing, probably the best script I've ever written for Xbox. And I got dumped on by YouTube, and the stream ended half an hour, 45 minutes earlier. So I was very, very deflated. And, of course, today's show, I'm very excited. Thank God, no problems. Knock on wood. Of course, I'm knocking on my head. And the breaking news, my God, gave me goosebumps. BitCloud, if you don't know what this is, you're going to pee your pants. It has been confirmed by Dr. Movie News, and this is all over the place. Breaking news. Spider-Man is saved. Sony and Disney has officially come up with a deal to co-produce. So of course I have to go to you because BitCloud, you have been with me on numerous shows with the King from the Iron Lord podcast talking about this. What are your thoughts on this? Listen, I'm going to say this, folks. Last night, Mrs. Boomstick and I watched Far From Home. I purchased it. And I'm going to be honest with you. I know this is going to sound nerdy. This might sound mental to some people. I felt dirty watching the film. I felt dirty hitting the buy button because he wasn't in the MCU. And now I have to watch it while I'm going to be cleaning the house after this show, because that's what I do. I do these shows, and I also make sure that Mrs. Boomstick comes home to a nice clean house. I'm going to put it on and watch it again. What are your thoughts on this breaking news, BitCloud?
Bro, it's funny you said that. My Twitter is not my Twitter, but my Discord is going off.
It's going bananas, and for good reason.
But no, I remember when we talked about this, right? And everybody was like trying to pick a side, whether it be Sony or Disney, and we all were just trying to be realistic. We were just like, listen, instead of picking Sony or Disney, how about you side with the character and just look what's best for the character? You know what I'm saying? Now, the fact that Far From Home has done so well and has probably one of the best cliffhangers because it's going to set up something epic for the next one. I don't even know if you guys pay close attention, but you want me to get into the spoiler part for that? Should I go into that spoiler? Boom?
I'm nervous about the spoiler thing because the movie literally just came out this week, and I have a funny feeling that a lot of people didn't get to it. All I'm going to say is that the OMG moment at the end, it's really going to bring up some unbelievable films in the future.
But not just that, though. It paints Spider-Man in such a bad light that I think a certain Hunter might be introduced in the next one.
He's rumored.
You ain't think about that, see?
Yes.
You ain't think about that. Yeah. Really think about it. The government, they can't spin that. How can they spin it? You know what I'm saying? The government can't spin it. So that actually could lead to a certain character coming back or being introduced finally as a villain into the into the series. I would love to see that. I'm hyped for that. As far as him in the MCU, I'm not sure. Are they going to do TV shows? Is he going to be in the TV show portion, or is it going to be strictly movies?
I don't know.
I got it. It's going to be, so the interesting thing that's coming out here, it's going to be for the movies. The weird thing that's going to happen is Sony has their universe that they have, right? And they've been wanting to get Spider-Man in there with the Venom situation and what they're trying to build there. Feige came out and said that he's going to be the only superhero that's going to cross over. So he's going to be a part of the MCU with that story, and then he's going to be a part of the Sony situation. But
so an alternate world crossover type of thing.
It's not going to bring over the
villains
MCU with him. Yeah.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
cool. That is cool. I'm glad.
I think
it's
what
gonna be
you
great.
do with that particular scenario is and I think it's important. I think it's important for fans to understand that this is not a lose. This is not a loss. This is a win for both sides. And the reason why that is because Sony they want to tell their story the way that they want to tell it. They own the character, right? So and they have a bigger ideology of what they want to do. They have Venom, they have Carnage, they have, all of these different characters they want to tell stories that Spider-Man is going to be a part of. But at the same time, because you got to remember, Big Cloud and I really went in on this, the fans are the ones that were hurting from this decision. All the fans,
they weren't going to see,
and to see that they can't figure out a deal to come up with to get Spider-Man to finish telling this story, and to see how he's going to play a part in the future Avengers, but at the same time allowing Sony to tell the Spider-Man story they want to tell, I think is important.
And I said this too. I was like, Far From Home made this amount of money. It would be unwise for either side to be so stupid and stubborn to not just, really think about what they're doing here. Because really think about it. This Spider-Man has never been he's been big always, but he hasn't been this big since Spider-Man 2. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Spider-Man 2, that's where you couldn't escape any advertiser Spider-Man 2 back in 2006, 2007, something like that. You couldn't escape the advertisement. Spider-Man 2 was through the roof.
Yes, crazy.
So the fact that we got a repeat of that, right, for the new generation, and you got all the possibilities going into what they're going to do next. I'm telling you, man, they got everything. They got everything working in their favor, and this is great to see. Now, another thing that's going to be cool to see. Hopefully, it does happen. It can continue, and hopefully it does. Obviously, Sony's going to do their worlds, and Marvel wants to do theirs. But I would like to see Spider-Man meet the Fantastic Four.
Yes, I agree.
I would like part to see the Fantastic Four and the meet. I would love to see that finally happen. Hell, some funny dialogue between him and She-Hulk. That would be some cool shit. Just so many possibilities. Obviously, Blade is another big thing we're looking forward to. But man, Spider-Man this is great.
This is the way you put the exclamation point on the week, in my opinion.
Yeah, this is great. This is great news.
Salty, I was actually going to go to you. What would you like to add in regards to this deal? Because I know you're a big Spider-Man fan as well. Obviously, you enjoyed the game.
Big comic book fan, big MCU fan. The thing is it was so unnatural to see the progression of. So you bring Spider-Man in, and you can see the direction they were going with, right? They took the Uncle Ben element out of there. They didn't even explain it, and they had Tony Stark as his father figure, building it up. The last movie, Happy's looking at him when he's in that plane, and he's putting shit on, and he reminds him of Tony Stark, right? It's basically his son, his adopted son. He cried, he's crying for him. Tony's holding him. He's turning into dust. He comes back. Then Tony dies. It's like this whole story, right? They're building him up to be the next main guy for the Avengers, and then it's like they pull the rug out from you. There's no way Marvel was setting all that up for their MCU. It would have been catastrophic because with everything going on with the scrolls and everything else, all the connecting dots, it's like you take this out. It's just like, where do you go with the Avengers? Obviously Spider-Man is one of the most popular comic book characters ever, right?
Yes.
And he was set up as that replacement for Tony Stark. That's what the movies were for. If he's worthy to have the glasses on or not. Tony left him the equipment. It all sets that up, and then the end of the movie, we won't spoil it, but he's the main guy. You know what I'm saying?
Boom!
The way
that's going to play a factor too in the next one.
Yeah. So all that movie, that's why I felt so dirty, like Boom was saying. It's not because I'm an MCU stan, which I am, but the thing is you're building these stories up through these movies, and all of a sudden it just didn't happen. How does that even work?
My wife we actually, believe it or not, it bothered us so much that on the car ride to take her to work, she actually brought it up in conversation. She goes, how are they going to finish telling the story if he can't mention anything from MCU or his suits or Tony or the Avengers or the shield stealing, incident?
Mysterio was created because of Tony Stark. The Vulture
Yes!
was created because of Tony Stark.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like, all that would have been thrown down the toilet, and there's no way they could do that. It wasn't finished. It had to be finished. It has to be taken into a certain direction. And now this opens up the possibilities of all kinds of different things, because Feige said, hey, exact quote, he also happens to be the only hero with superpowers to cross cinematic universes. So as Sony continues to develop their own Spideyverse, you never know what the surprises might hold. So
you know what's interesting about what you said? Now, you said how Iron Man obviously produced Vulture, and he is the reason for Mysterio.
Mm-hmm.
Who now? Yeah, the big question is, who is Peter going to be responsible for
creating?
That's a great point, dude.
That's the good thing, and that's where that ending, that ending at the end of the movie, that post credit,
So good.
really, I think it set it up perfectly, and they just left enough there to leave it, you know what I'm saying, just to really get your imagination going. But I really do think we're going to have a certain Hunter.
Well, there's been rumors that Jason Momoa has been offered the role of Kraven the Hunter, and I think he would be perfect.
Bro, I can see it.
I can absolutely see it. Yes.
Yeah. What did they go
Hey,
Taskmaster?
What about Kraven the Hunter in Black Panther 2?
That was supposed to happen, and Sony said no because they had their own plans for him,
I think it's still on the table, honestly.
It could
It might
be
be on the table in like a battle. You know, like, remember they're setting up for their next phase battle, right? Their next big battle. So we'll get there. It'll be bits and pieces there. You know, it'll get there eventually. But there's so many opportunities here. Tons of opportunities.
Dude, let me just say this. I have to get Studio Nintendo Direct's opinion on this, because, like everyone has been alluding to, for me personally, I honestly can't believe I'm composing myself, only because I'm a paraprofessional and I want to listen back and not embarrass myself when listening. Am I not gushing like a 5-year-old? Because Spider-Man, I love everything about the character. I like his vulnerabilities. I love the fact that family comes first. I love that his friends, the danger he puts them in, is always on his mind. He weighs the world on his shoulders. Very, very similar to how I conduct myself. Like, I put so much on my shoulders that sometimes I'm cracking them by myself with the pressure I put myself on. But for you, when you see this deal being done, and now you're seeing that both sides are coming out and saying, things are going to be happening, and does that excite you as a fan, man?
Yeah, it excites me. Like you said, Spider-Man is my favorite hero. He's every man's hero. All the things about that he goes through. And I agree with what Salty said. You're building up the story, and then only to then have the rug pulled from underneath you. I'm just going to relate this to what I'm going through right now. This really felt like a really bad, dirty labor dispute, like which I'm going through right now. I'm on strike, and we're going back and forth with sides. This felt like, with the way they were announcing things and the way they're putting PR out, Tom Holland's not going to be part of it in the future. Marvel comes out and says, well, Sony doesn't want to work with us. And it just felt like a really bad back and forth sort of dispute over who was going to get the better end of the deal. And I think they finally just came to an agreement with, okay, Tom Holland's going to continue with the MCU part deal, get the majority of the Spider-Verse on our half. And I felt like that's really what this came down to. Now that, and that's funny, hindsight's 50-50. Everybody was kind of really upset that that was the first announcement that, hey, it's not going to happen. People were pissed. And I feel like, hindsight's 50-50. Maybe it was just a bad dispute this whole time. This was all them, posturing until they finally came to some sort of mutual agreement. That being said, I'm excited because, like Salty said, now we actually get to see what's going to happen moving forward, and to have that taken away from you was very painful. So I'm excited for it.
That's a great point. Don, I want to get your opinion on this. I don't know what your affiliation is for the MCU. I mean, you seem like you're a moviegoer as well as a gamer and, of course, a producer of content. What are your thoughts that the fans could finally breathe a sigh of relief, that we've all been sick to our stomachs the last 6 weeks since this very public breakup? Are you happy to see the two sides playing nice, and really the fans are the ones that win today?
I felt a little disconnected from the MCU ever since this news kind of came out because I didn't see Spider-Man in theaters, the last Spider-Man.
Okay.
And this news came out between like the release of Spider-Man available directly to the consumer in the movie theaters, and I just like I'm kind of over the MCU now. Like I was kind of moving on, all piecemeal it together, but it sounds like they got it together. Hopefully, they got direction going into this next phase, and we'll see. I of the superhero genre, I feel like we hit it, and I don't know where this stuff is going to go going forward, to be honest with you. So,
oh my God, I'm going to tell you this right now. I'm going to be 81 years old, God willing I live that long, in the theaters watching these movies with my Spider-Man shirt on. I'm telling you right now. Hyena Den, why don't you close out this particular topic? What are your thoughts on this very, very joyous news for fans of both Spider-Man and the MCU that he's back and that apparently both sides came to an agreement?
I'll keep it very short and sweet, and I think Salty already knows what I'm about to say. All right, I'm not a superhero fan at all whatsoever.
Okay,
but if you guys are happy about the situation, then I'm happy.
That's a true blue friend right there, buddy.
Well, listen, I mean, you can't argue with it. I mean, obviously, if it's not your genre, it's not your genre. But at the same time, you do have feelings and understand that as a fan, when you're disappointed, it's the worst feeling in the world. And to see people very excited, especially on social media. I mean, like there's posts that I'm reading now that are paragraphs from people that only write Xbox sucks or Sony sucks, right? And you see that this is a joyous occasion for people, and they're really letting their feelings know. I can't wait to finish the show so I could not only watch the movie again, but somehow listen to podcasts that are going to be talking about it, because I have watched a couple of sites that I listen to on a daily basis that always talk about it. But look, we're at the 2-hour mark, and I do have one topic, but I do not want to stress the panel. Does anyone, can anyone go another 15 or 20 minutes?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay, good. So keeping with the superhero genre, I want to move on to the new Batman Arkham teases that have been announced or have been floating around the internet. Obviously, on the official Twitter page, the development studio released a new teaser title called Catch the Night. And, of course, we're talking about the studio that apparently is developing the new Arkham game, and that's WB Montreal. And they have been teasing this Court of Owls shenanigans since, and I have the date here, it was December 3rd, 2018, where Double V of Twitter posted her wearing the Court of Owls. Took a picture of her back. It was a t-shirt she was wearing. And then on Batman Day, which was just past this last weekend, there were several cryptic images that flashed on the screen that had the Court of Owls symbols, the League of Shadows symbol, and Azrael's symbol. And what it tells me as a Batman fan is that basically he is going to have the entire world of Gotham, every criminal you could possibly imagine after him. And I am going to say this. I have, fans like myself have been frustrated with the lack of actual information, and there has been more teases than I could count. But I am going to say this. We thought that when they announced this on Twitter, it was going to be at the small PlayStation event, or maybe even in the Inside Xbox one, right? And of course, that was the day that The Last of Us 2 was being announced, and I wouldn't want to put any game in front of that because it's a behemoth. But with all the shows that the year's coming to a close and not many shows left, we don't know if there's going to be a PSX. I think Sony would have announced it already. I hope there is one for the fans because there wasn't one last year. But we know that XO19 is around the corner, and there has been some talk for quite some time that the next Batman game is going to be shown on the on a Xbox stage, and XO19 would be a great place for it. Salty, I want to go to you on this. First of all, the Arkham games are amazing from start to finish. Now, some people may not like the last one because there was too much Batmobile, and I would agree with that. But for the most part, even like Origins, a lot of people shit on that game. I loved Arkham Origins. Absolutely loved it. What are your thoughts, and are you excited to finally get some confirmed information of what exactly this Batman game is going to be about?
Yeah, I don't get the hate for Batman Arkham Origins, honestly.
I mean, aren't you playing it like right now on the PC?
Yeah. That's the one that at the high frame rates. I think it's just a different way of telling the stories, and I actually like the way they do like some of the fights and stuff like that. It's a I don't know. I like it. I like the game.
Cinematic and
yeah, it's more cinematic or something. There's something about it, but I enjoyed the game, and I don't know why it got crapped on. And people just kind of leave it out. They're like, "Oh, the Batman series," you know what I'm saying? They don't even mention it. But I think it's a really good take on it, and I'm excited to see what they could do with this storyline, because there's lots of potential, right? With Ra's al Ghul and all kinds of other stuff. There's it's kind of a darker storyline,
yes,
right? With
yep,
Port of Owl stuff. So it's intriguing what they could do with that. I just want to know how far out this game is, because we've been hearing rumblings about this for, it seems like forever,
for
right?
years. It seems like
years. And then the fact that they would come out on their Twitter account and then post this tease, this video of all the symbols and stuff like that. It's just like, well, are you guys doing this like a year out, or is this going to be coming out this year? I just want to know, because it's not a question of if it's going to happen. It's when, right? When is this game coming out? Is it going to be coming out this year? When is it going to be coming out? I want to know that, because it's been a while since we had a Batman game, and I think it's time that we get to play, back in the streets of Arkham and enjoy the fruits of their labor. I just, like I said, I think it's undue hate with the previous game, and I think they'll step it up with this story, and I'm excited, man.
Yeah, man. Well, me too. Real quick, I have to thank Gamer by Choice for the outstandingly generous $10 super chat. He says, "Great discussion. Thank you, Boom, for being a real gamer and bringing together gamers and a great panel." Well, thank you for the absolutely amazing compliment. More so for being here, as always. I do appreciate the support. And, of course, the generosity, it cannot be overlooked. But I want to go to BitCloud, because obviously you are a superhero fan like myself. And the next Arkham game, whenever it is, wherever it is, it's going to be a big deal. I'm hoping that we get to see this sooner than later. Quite frankly, my heart can't take this teases, and I'm 49, folks. So listen, I want my Batman game now. Damn it! What are your thoughts of these cryptic symbols? And considering that there are several Batman stories that are like pinnacle to the franchise in his 80 years on this earth, and you have the Long Halloween, you have the Dark Knight saga. But the Court of Owls, my God, that's a story, and one of the best that was ever written. What are your thoughts of being able to play this tale?
I mean, it's great. I mean, we've seen the rise of the, from the Killing Joke to now to this, So it's awesome. It really is awesome. I can't wait to play it. As far as my hype for the game, I'm so hyped for this that I actually watched Inside Xbox. A lot of people were tweeting that it might be at Inside Xbox.
So I was right there with you.
And I watched it, and I was very, very disappointed. I didn't even so much get a mention for it. But maybe it will be at EXO, 19. Maybe it's a possibility it'll be there. And, if it is there, I just want to see, what they do. Now, as far as, like, people who are hating on the game, like Origins, for example, Origins is by far one of the cooler ones in terms of storytelling. I love how they do it. Like, Batman's Wanted. They got the damn the mob out for him, pretty much.
Yes.
I love that style. I love their version of Bane in Origins. Bane is off the chain in Origins, but
yes,
I like that style of them for sure. But Arkham Knight, the only thing that really aggravated me for Arkham Knight, aside from like the little the Batmobile tracks, which became a little weird,
redundant to say the least.
That Riddler would even make something like that. That doesn't even sound like something he would do. Aside from those, I would say the only thing that really aggravated me with that was the Arkham Knight himself. There wasn't really a boss battle, was there?
No.
Arkham Origins, they gave you an amazing boss battle between you and Deathstroke.
It was so hard too. How many times I died?
That was awesome. Like they gave you something with that. So, I would like to see, just how well they've executed their craft. I don't know if Rocksteady. There's a Rocksteady. I don't know if they're
No,
going to be.
This is WB Montreal that's making this. The one that did Origins.
Not talking about talent from Rocksteady.
Okay.
Like lending help. I wonder if they're going to be helping and lending their expertise to
maybe
help refine it. Get it out there. I wonder if the Batmobile might actually continue to be a thing, or
God, I hope not.
The Batmobile was cool. It just like certain things, I don't think it really should have been prioritized for. For example, us shooting robots. I don't think that should have been a real big deal. Nor like maybe taking down like henchmen with the Batmobile, sure, but like shooting robots,
not that big of a deal. I agree.
Not a fan of that. Story related again, Ra's al Ghul. There's so much going on here that I really want to see, and hopefully they can deliver. It's going to be great, especially if it's on next gen. Obviously, we see it on next gen.
Yes, launch title for the PS5 and Xbox Scarlet. Yes.
Oh, dude, especially with PC, you see like the whole thing with RTX mode and the mirror reflections. I mean, can you imagine extra detail like Batman's suit being torn up from you playing the game? And like battle damage, stuff like that. Could you imagine that type of stuff?
Well, I can if again I don't have a PC. I mean I run the whole show off of a Surface Pro, but
you get what I'm saying. Like battle damage. They'll do more detail. All that stuff. And you're gonna have mirror now on PS5 and Scarlet, but you're gonna have better refinements in the characters, and it's gonna look cool. I just can't wait to see it. I really can't wait to see it.
That definitely makes two of us do. Nintendo Direct, I want to go to you real quick because, there's been talk for quite some time that the Bat family would be utilized, offering the ability to not only play multiple characters that include Batgirl, Batwoman, Robin, Nightwing, and even Red Hood. There's a chance that this could offer multiplayer in certain instances, very similar to Splinter Cell, where they had those certain areas that multiplayer was accessible, which would be really dope, to be honest with you. What are your thoughts on the fact that you might be able to actually incorporate not only Batman, but the entire Bat family in a new Arkham game?
That would be the one thing, because I'm going to have not a popular opinion on this. That would probably be the one thing that would get me to play the game. I played Asylum, I played City, I played part of Origins, and then after that, I have not touched the franchise since then. I'm one of the guys that played Origins and was just kind of done with it.
Okay.
I'm one of those guys. Just because I wasn't impressed with Origins because it just seemed like more of the same. I mean, they added some small things here and there, but it didn't seem very innovative. And like I said, it was WB Montreal, not Rocksteady. So for me back then, I was just kind of just done with it. So for me, that might be the only thing that would interest me in coming back is the whole part of the Bat family being part of it and making it multiplayer. I remember that Ninja Turtles game that came out that was awful. That was supposed to be like Batman Arkham. That was supposed to be like Batman Arkham, but multiplayer. If they did something like that, and where we could all play together, somebody be the stealth, somebody come through, have some sort of spec ops thing, I would be interested in that. That would be fire. But as far as me being very interested in it, not so much.
Okay, no, that's okay. Listen, that's what's great about this show. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. We don't all have to agree. The Don, because I'll get to Hyena last because I know he's going to be like, I don't really care about it, but I care. I want to get your opinion, Hyena, because it is important. The Don, I want to get your particular opinion on this because if it does incorporate the Bat family, if these rumors or teases are true that it's incorporating the Court of Owls, which is a story in itself, Ra's al Ghul, Azrael from the comic, as well as all of his regular rogues gallery, this is going to be a pretty stout game, and it could be understandable why it's possibly been in development for 5 years. It seems like a massive undertaking. Are you excited to see the final product?
I really can't comment on this game, to be honest with you. On that note, I hate to leave you on that cliffhanger, but I gotta go. Actually,
it's okay, dude. We kind of knew that you were gonna have to go. Listen, thanks so much for being here, dude. I super appreciate it. Your opinion is extreme. I do value your opinion highly, and I do appreciate you taking the time out of your busy day to be here, brother. Thank you.
All right, thanks, guys. I'll see you guys later.
All right, not a
Yep.
problem.
Later,
Listen, folks, I will listen. I want to just kind of move this over to Hyena Dan, because I understand you may not be a superhero, genre fan. That's fine. But when you think about what has been flashed, across the screen as teases, the rumors in the night about the Bat family being involved, the multiple organizations that are going to be involved in this, the talk of catch the night, meaning that they want to catch and probably kill Batman. Are you, as a gaming fan, not so much a superhero fan, interested to see how this undertaking could potentially turn out for the Arkham franchise?
Well, it could be something that could turn out spectacular, right? You've noted that XO19 is a place where it could show up and be unveiled for the first time ever. And I said that last night on TSGP because just like with the Ninja Theory unveiling their brand new game, XO19 is the perfect venue for that because of where XO19 it's in their own country.
Yes,
it is. It's going to be in the UK. And maybe I might be just reading too much into that, and if it's bogus, and that's fine too. But the perfect place to unveil this new Batman game. Obviously, a lot of people have high praises for the team over there at Rocksteady because of the stuff that they've done in the past. One of the things that might get me to at least there's two things that be more into not only this franchise but game. If for some reason the gaming gods have graced us, and the game is unveiled and it turns out it's launching into Xbox Game Pass, then I have no reason to not try the game, because it's going to be in there for me to download. But there are some games out there that could be classified as superhero games that look at them and they kind of transcend that entire. And one of those games is Sunset Overdrive, right? They can be looked at as a superhero game because of all the stuff the characters do inside that. If can transcend that sort of subgenre, and that was implemented in Sunset Overdrive, then I would have zero problems trying out this game. As long as it's fun, of course. This game could go one of two ways. It could be extremely spectacular and could shock the entire crowd, and we will remember this game most likely when it launches next year, probably in the middle of summer or something, and it'll be a Game of the Year candidate. Or that this game has been drumming up over the last few years. It's unveiled, it comes out, and it's just stale. It'll be it'll just be an okay game. I don't look at this everything revolving around the news of this new Batman game and look at it and say, I think that game's going to bomb. I don't think this game's going to bomb at all. I think it'll either be extremely amazing or it'll be which is fine for people that like that sort of thing. But I'm excited to see the unveiling of it and see what this game does entail, because like Big Cloud said, this could have some foresight and foreshadowing into what next generation could hold for
good point. Yeah.
PS5 and Project Scarlet. Not just from a ray tracing perspective, but from a physics perspective perspective, all sorts of different things. So, at the very least, I'm excited to see the technical aspect of what this could mean for the future of games.
No, that's a great point. That's a great way to close out this particular topic. Close out the action.
One little thing to it.
Yeah, go ahead, brother. It's okay.
At the end of Arkham, obviously Arkham Knight, remember how like Batman is still alive, but he uses spirits option?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think they'll use that? They'll play upon that in the next one?
It's tough to say because it seemed as if Rocksteady was closing the door on that trilogy, the way it ended, right? And I don't necessarily know if, like Arkham Origins, this is going to be an earlier tale of Batman, because obviously the Court of Owls came much later in his, later on in his career as Batman. So it is possible that it may be a story that's being told. I don't want to say alternate, because I don't want to talk about alternate universes, but it's going to be interesting to see how they spin it. Yeah, for sure. But first of all, I have to thank everybody. We had over 110 people watching today. I'm very proud and happy to say that. Thank God, there were no issues, because I lost sleep over this, folks. Like I said, when I produce this content, if it does not come out better than I expected, I disappoint myself, because I feel like I let the fans down, and I hate doing that. So I'm so glad we had no hiccups. I want to thank all of the 110 people in here. Of course, the generosity through Game Pass. Oh my God, through Super Chat. Thank you so much for that. And of course, the panel. You guys were amazing. This show went better than I thought. I was a little nervous because it was a big panel. And even though we only got to four topics, they were all really hot button topics, and I'm glad that we were able to, everyone got their opinion across. So let's get into the outros. Salty, I just saw your Saltiest podcast pop up in my feed for Discord. If you didn't get a chance to listen to it last night, it was a fantastic show. I didn't get a chance to talk into the chat. I was only listening, but it was a great show, as per the norm, because you do put out tremendous content. You did a video yesterday as well, talking about the free games coming to, of course, Sony's service, which is The Last of Us 1, and the MLB, which is, come on, those games are great, but MLB The Show for free, come on, you can't beat that. Please do me a favor, tell everyone where they can follow you and hear your salty opinions on Twitter, but more importantly, support you on your amazing YouTube channel.
Yes, YouTube is Saltiest Gaming, 2 words. You can find me on Twitter, Saltiest Gaming, the I's a 1. I like to just have fun on there, post lots of memes, lots of GIFs and stuff like that. Where else? Twitch, doing game streaming on Twitch, Saltiest Gaming, 1 word. I am an affiliate on there now. We had a great last stream where I finished Horizon Zero Dawn, broke some viewership records there. So I decided to move all the game streaming off of YouTube because they don't really support creators there. So they like to demonetize.
It's disgusting.
Do all kinds of stuff. Yeah. So we just finally decided to move off the platform. So that's where you could find me. I think next up will be The Last of Us, since that's going to be free. And I was going to buy that game anyway. So I'll start streaming that in October. But it was a pleasure to be here, man. I'd love to be here more often, but you know how it is, right?
No, family first, brother. Listen, I completely understand, but it is always an absolute honor to work with you. Like, obviously, people know that we work together almost on a weekly basis earlier during the year, during our gaming news at noon. And of course, we had to kind of close that show down because both of us had other responsibilities. But it is great to have you on the show. And of course, you're always going to have my backing and support whatever you do, because we're good friends outside of the YouTube scene. Studio Nintendo Direct, I love everything about you as a person, but more specifically your content, because your content is amazing. It's family, it's fandom, it's everything that you could want from a creator who loves the gaming genre that we wake up every day to play and enjoy. And you have 2 YouTube channels. You have one where you do your Let's Go, which is you're famous for. And, of course, you have your music side, which a lot of people don't know about. So do me a favor. Tell everyone where they can check out those 2 channels, but more specifically, follow you and listen to other shows that you're on, dude.
Yeah, so I'm much like Salty now. I have two separate channels. I have Nintendo Direct, which is where I talk about news topics, which I haven't posted much content on there because I've been so focused on what Boom just said, Studio Nintendo, which is I take video game songs and cover them in with guitars. It's more of a heavier side, metalcore, metal, death metal, whatever you want to call it. It's more of the heavier side of things. Recently just did the Wind Waker, Outset Island. There's a bunch of Zelda songs on there, Mario songs, and older songs as well. That's where most of my time has been going into. I really do enjoy that process of creating. I kind of feel like that's more of my niche now. So that's more of what I'm doing. So if you feel free to go over there, youtube.com/Studio Nintendo, check out that channel, listen to a song. If you like it, hit the subscribe button. And much like Salty, I have now transferred, which I've been doing, but now most of my streaming is now going to be on Mixer and Twitch from here on out. Twitch.com/Studio Nintendo, Mixer.com/Studio Nintendo. Just because, much like Salty, they don't seem to be supporting streaming as much anymore ever since they decided to give up the whole competition with Twitch. So that's where I'm at right now. So if you want to catch streams and you want to see the occasional let's go, like BoomStick said, Twitch.com/Studio Nintendo is where it's at, but then check out the music channel as well. Once again, thanks for having me on, bro. Like I said, this is the only podcast that I can do because of my work schedule, except for now that I'm on strike, I'm actually free. But when I go back to work, this will be the podcast that I will be able to do the most. So I always appreciate it, man.
Well, I love having you on, dude. Thank you again, and hopefully that strike comes to an end quicker, definitely sooner than later, because that's obviously when you talk about money and benefits, and you have a family, it's a very trying situation. So let's definitely hope that works out for the best. Again, sooner than later. BitCloud Gaming, the newest member of the Breakfast with Boom family, dude. It's always great to work with you. Obviously, we got a chance to work together prior to you signing the non-disclosure contract to be on Breakfast with Boom. And it's always been great to work with you, but work with you on a weekly basis has been a lot of fun for me personally. Love what you bring to the community. Really enjoy how passionate you are, not just about superheroes, but gaming as a whole in this giant nerd culture that we call life. Please tell everyone where they can check out your amazing YouTube channel, but more specifically, follow you on social media.
Okay. For the record, guys, that contract is very similar to the one you saw in Ghost Rider. All it took was one little blood drop, so that's kind of how you sign the signature. But
yes.
Yeah, this is a BitCloud Game. You guys can find me on Twitter at the exact same name, BitCloud Gaming. You can find me on YouTube, same name as well. We're going to be live at 5 p.m. Eastern time for the RGT podcast, which we do every Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern time. We'd love to see you guys in the chat. We'll definitely have some fun. It's a lot to discuss. And I got to make a certain tweet today and address a certain thing that happened yesterday. But best believe when we talk gaming, we talk gaming. You know, we don't care about no fanboy war, nothing. It's just gaming in general is supposed to be about fun. We should all be able to come together regardless of what brand you're on or what color side you're is. I don't understand the mentality of people as of late. They have changed drastically, and it's kind of sad when you see people who preach that they're not this, right? They end up being the main one to turn to the very thing that they claim that they're not. And so you're not gonna see that on my channel, best believe that. But I'd love to see you guys in the chat, and thank you guys again for coming out. It was a good show. Shout out to Mr. Boom here for the awesome invite to this show. It's definitely been fun doing it. And shout out to everybody on the panel who came out as well. It was good talking to you.
Yeah, it was great to have you as always, and glad that you're a regular panel member. Do enjoy the banter we have on and off the air. And last but not least, Hyena Den, the Forza Motorsport champion. Listen, dude. I love that you have an opinion. Even when it's a topic that may not be your cup of tea, you still answer it in a proper manner with respect to people that actually enjoy it. And I do like the way you handle yourself on social media, as well as the content you put on your channel. Please tell everyone where they can follow you on social media, but check out, of course, your amazing YouTube channel.
Oh, absolutely. every time you ask me, be a guest on Breakfast with Boom, and you hit me up in the DMs, nine times out of 10, I'm like, yep, I will be there 100%. So it's always fun to be on here, and it's definitely, the longer this has gone on, where I keep getting invited to Breakfast with Boom, the easier it is to get accustomed to waking up at 6, 7 in the morning to get everything going. This morning was a lot easier than the last time, and I'm more wide awake, and everything was going well. It was all smooth sailing from here on out. So it was definitely fun to join today with Salty and Nintendo, and of course you and Big Cloud and Enrique. Definitely a good show. A lot of really fun topics. Of course, everybody can find me every Thursday night on TSGB with Salty and the gang there, and on Twitter, where I also partake in posting funny GIFs from time to time and videos about cute animals, and whatever happens to come across my timeline, I'll most likely repost it if I find it entertaining. So you guys can find me on Twitter at HyenaDenXBL, and on Xbox Live and YouTube at Hyena Space Den. I take the time to make a lot of different content out there. Obviously, I dabble in art from time to time. Sometimes dabble in music as well, and of course the YouTube channel where I talk about a variety of things that I'm passionate about. I don't upload as often as I should. Kick up the game, definitely this month or the month after that. There's definitely going to be more content coming through now that I have my license from Adobe again.
Nice.
I just uploaded a video about the game Creature in the Wall, and I know people think I'm shilling for this game, but honestly, I'm not.
If you like the game, you like the game. You got to
really,
support
really
it.
cool.
Absolutely. Nah, that's great.
Absolutely, yeah. And you guys can get Creature in the Well from Game Pass, and if you don't have Game Pass, it is 100% worth the money to buy on whatever platform you can get your hands on it. So I uploaded that video about a week ago from now.
Okay.
It's a very short video. How cool I think the game is, and the next video that I want to get out before the end of this month, or next month I should say, is going to talk about one of my favorite developers in this gaming business, and that of course is Obsidian Entertainment. Gonna get this out before The Outer Worlds comes out. By the time I get this video out, this would be my 5th video on Obsidian since my channel has started. So I've been talking about them a lot for a lot of good reason, and hopefully this video comes together. I have some funny pieces that I've stringed together from clips of Fallout New Vegas and other games they've made. So definitely stay tuned for that. And that's it for me.
All right, well, listen. Again, great to have you here as always. Enjoy the banter that we have again on and off the air. Love your opinions and love what you do on your channel. And of course, that's gonna do it for this 2.5-hour episode of Breakfast with Boom. I want to close out with two little show notes that are important. Monday's Primetime Gaming with Mr. Boomstick and Friends is going to feature the world famous Colt Eastwood from the RDX panel. He's going to be a guest on there, so hopefully you tune in Monday evening at 8 p.m. And also, if you didn't know, I have teamed up. I started actually designing my own clothing line with SoSickClothing.com. I have 3 shirts up now. One is Breakfast with Boom. One is, of course, the Double Barrel Gaming, and the other one I designed myself. It's the Primetime Gaming with Mr. BoomStickXL logo. I'm currently designing 3 shirts that should be up by the end of October. Yes, I am designing them myself. And if you do go and you purchase one of these shirts, use the code in all caps, Here Comes the Boom. You save 15%. And I will close out this show with this. Listen, gaming is supposed to be about fun. And when I say gaming, I talk about all 3 consoles, including the 4th one that no one talks about, and that's PC. So treat people, and I mean people, gamers of every race, creed, color, ethnic background, sexual preference, or religion the same. We're all human beings at the end of the day, and I say, my God, treat people how you want to be treated, and I guarantee you're going to have a great day. Please enjoy your weekend. Game on, have fun, be safe, and we'll see you next week on the newest episode of Breakfast with Boom. Take care, everyone.